Am I unmuted? Welcome to the Afternoon Rundown, the show where you choose what we talk about every day. Neil, he's locked in. So is Obi. They're ready to look at the tickers that you voted for on the Midday show. Make sure to vote every day between 11 and 1:50 with Adair and I on how to trade. First, we'll look at the triple Qs. 481 right now on the triple Qs. Marginally red. We were looking at that 20,000 point level on the NQ September contract. Really gave way. We've been looking at basically weakness today on most of the Mag 7 names. But Nvidia, one of those ones that's marginally green on the day, a little above, a little bit below, guys. What's your look on Nvidia?
Look, obviously Nvidia is going to be in play. It's going to be really hard to take eyeballs off of Cassava Sciences, the way that stock is trading today. But Nvidia is absolutely wild. I can tell you, I've probably said this line before. Sometimes the best trade is not the trade that you made. It's the trade that maybe you didn't make, or the trade that you covered at the absolute perfect time. So if you can look at what happened here on Nvidia, I had the breakout 127 a couple times. The second time was pretty good, even though we held some for it to fail underneath. But I had VWAP in here at 126, and we jumped out. That's 125.88. At the exact moment that I got out, I mean, whatever, not the exact moment, but at the moment that it took out VWAP and lost this 126 area, it just accelerated to the downside. Just nasty, nasty, nasty. If you know, I had gotten out of that trade, and then right after that, I'm doing the lesson of the day, and we're in that Tesla short that tanked. But reversing this would have been great. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Wasn't really looking for that short trade. But if you look at what happened here, that is a false break out of this local range, and it goes right to the bottom. Fail the top, go to the bottom. I think we're probably hunting for that again. If we don't get above 125, I think a hunt down for that bottom at 123 is going to be in play for Nvidia. I am in a chip name right now, but Nvidia flat after giving up that move, you're like, why would you be long Intel if the market's at the lows, if the chip names are at the lows? That's because Intel is very different from everything else. So up 1.5%, broke out like gangbusters. When it broke trend, I was short in the morning show. That's fine. And we shorted at 31.20. But when the market kept on breaking down, this held support as the market just kept making lows. So that's the reason I'm in Intel long while looking to short pops in Nvidia. If we get them, I mean, I'm not guaranteeing that we're going to see that 125 level this afternoon, but you're catching a bit of a bid here in the market, so it's very possible, Obi.
Yeah, no, we talked about that 123 in the pre-market. Kind of, it's been showing itself multiple times over the past week or so. Again, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, and then once again. So pretty much almost every day of the week. This week, that 123 has been holding the bid pretty cleanly. Double bottom on Wednesday, bit of a consolidation low on the midday pullback here on Tuesday, and another double bottom off of a strong sell going into the close once again, kind of showing its low right there at that 123 once again. And then once again today on a heavy sell-off, 123 is the bounce. After we got that strong quadunk in the market, again, definitely peculiar price action on that 123. Going to be interesting, I guess, going into next week as well to see if this level is still sustaining.
Google down 0.75% after being downgraded right there by Rosenblatt. Basically, they're saying they see possible weakness coming in on Google's moat. As you can see, selling off a little bit today after printing all-time highs this week, guys. Did you guys trade Google today?
First of all, look, we have to comment on Cassava Sciences just very quickly. It just went into an upward halt, and we were actually talking about this right before we came on air. Obi and I was looking for some kind of a bottom in and around 8 when you pull out the weekly chart like way back. I kind of thought that would be a thing, but look at this volume candle when it wicks to 9 even. Now, does something stand out about that volume candle to you? If you're looking for a spot to take a shot where you want to like an even dollar break back up to try to catch a falling knife, or to get it as it's trying to bounce off the ground, this is like 875 or 877 that this bounces off of, and then back through 9. Huge, huge volume candle. It's now in an up halt at 1060, and the tap is 1250. You might have, in that trade, if you're in at 910 or 920 on a break back up, your stop low of the day is only at $8.75, let's say. That could be 30 to 50 cents worth of risk on a stock which has moved $9. So those are the kinds of things, like as a trader, like you're looking for it. I was looking at a level instead of maybe the volume reversal setup, but that is an absolute, that's a month maker if you can find yourself into that tight of a stop and an entry like that. So I had to mention it. Those opportunities don't come very often. Google, here. This is what I have to say about you, Alphabet. I shorted 185. I lost. It's what it is. I did not get back into it. At the middle of the day, Tesla ended up being the short for me, but we probably didn't need to be in Tesla if we just stuck with Alphabet. That said, you got to move on to what's next. And when the Nasdaq was doing all of this good stuff and making fresh bottoms like lower low, breaking the low, still at the low of the day, well, Google had other intentions. Like you can see that early morning bottom on Alphabet, early morning bottom on the Nasdaq, lower low, that's higher lows at the same time. So the way I see it, even if Google is down 0.7% to the flat Nasdaq, since that open, if anything, this is a little bit more bullish than the Nasdaq. And if we hold 20,000, I'm not thinking that's a short anymore. This might be a long off of VWAP. Just got to be able to understand, like what percentage is just about, the percentage on the day is just from where it is at the close, the previous close. Sometimes it's going to matter a little bit more when you're trading in the afternoon or in the midday. What's the stock done since the open? And since the open, this is putting in higher lows relative to what the overall market has done. And that puts Google, I think, in the stronger camp. I'm not shorting this one. Even though the short would have worked if I'd hung on to it, it doesn't feel like a short to me in the afternoon. There's better places to go.
Yeah, I think it's a kind of similar story to Nvidia here. Maybe not as strong as the 123 level, but you can see earlier on in the week, we hold this 183 level right off of the open yesterday, and then prior day to that as well on Wednesday, some strength coming through. Again, leg consolidation, leg, and then we're getting a little bit more sideways action. But yeah, today price just compressing after this shake and bake happening off of the open. Again, obviously the market, the futures took a pretty big sell-off middle of the day there, or beginning of the middle of the day around 10:30, I guess, started to sell off quite aggressively there. But interesting levels here at that 184 half as well. Bit of resistance, bit of support. Comes in today, tries to break it, comes back in. You can see that off of the open, the opening range high as well. But nothing too much, I guess, in my playbook on this one there. It's just chopping and churning, sideways consolidations and price compression. So potentially setting up for another leg. Who knows? We know that a lot of these tech names are pushing or trying to push for their all-time highs. And Google is definitely up there along with them.
The SPY right now break even well off the highs, guys. It was basically a sell kind of afternoon, kind of morning. Really, we had multiple Fed speakers today, Mary Daly, Fed Bowman as well, making comments midday. Fed Bowman here says strong employment, but inflation goal not reached yet, and she pledged to continue efforts towards controlling inflation, but on the Fed's pace here. What was the look today for the futures?
Yeah, like I know for early on, I know I had a bit of a long bias in some of the, some of those breakout plays that were out there, like Tesla originally through the 200, even Nvidia early, looking like a bit of a long. But you've got to be able to sort of recognize that, yeah, you might be this strong in the morning, but when you have a big breakout that reverses and kind of goes to the next resistance level, the SPY, in this case, it'll be like 50-50. 550, not 50-50, 550. When that got reversed, it was resistance if you go back a few sessions in there. When you have that happen and then you cannot hold that breakout price, like it tries to consolidate where it comes from, and then you get that tag down, that turns it bearish in that moment. And that's why we're looking for short trades at lunchtime, with the exception of Intel, which I noted was a little bit strong, and I was short that previously. So when that happens, to me, it's a failed break, and when you have a failed break that goes back in and consolidates and can't bounce, to me, you just look for the short. After that, you're dead flat here, And I don't wonder going into next week is going to be a holiday shortened week. We've got, is some rebalancing minor. It's just going to be the Russell, but it is month end. I would expect you're likely to have a bit of an inside afternoon. That's my guess, is that yesterday's range of 47 to 45 might be it for us today. And it wouldn't surprise me if that were the case. So if we get a pop back up in the futures and you're up at that 47, I'd be looking to short some weak stocks at that moment. And if we do get a breakout, sometimes it does happen late in the afternoon, counter trend, but I'm kind of looking the other way. If we get up to 547, on the Nasdaq, it'll be like 20,100. On the SPY here, it's like 547. I'd be looking for some weaker stocks that I like the shorts of. Probably like, I think there's also going to be some opportunity in some other names that have just been trending down. Like Nike's not on our list, and we'll talk about Disney maybe. That's not on the list here as well. But yeah, the SPY, that's a trend reversal. When you have big breakouts that fail, I don't think you want to fight it too much on the way back in.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Just looking at the spider here, I only see 2 trades off the bat. One of them we kind of called in the morning where I was like, all right, cool. The reversion on the spider might be a bit nicer to take, as the NQs could be pretty clean here. So just to point them out right off the bat, it is attempting for prior all-time highs right there, 550.75, happened in the pre-market on June 20th, last Thursday, right there. Strong selling pretty much the whole day, so definitely showing, I guess, sellers showing their hand there in that 550 level. Coming into a Friday, we open up. So the first one I see is kind of the reversion of this pre-market trend, strong sell-off. That breaks out right off of the open there, reclaiming some of these pre-market consolidation lows, reclaiming some of that high right there. And then the second one is the reversion of the reversion itself. So it's like, all right, you attempt for all-time highs. So intraday high that day was 550. We get to 550.28. So the spider only gets about, 14, 15 pennies, 16 pennies above that prior high, and then flushes back down, consolidates, and then you get that breakdown of that consolidation with a lower high just underneath that 550. So I think that, again, this is all in retrospect, so it sounds nice. But again, the break of this short-term structure there, it had a great follow-through. So right off the bat, looking back at it, I think those were the 2 cleaner trades on the spider, and now we're just consolidating. Again, if you use that confluence with the NQ as well and some of the other constituents, definitely a decent places to get in. You can see that it did reject this pre-market consolidation low on the rebid that it had. Couldn't quite recover any serious portion of the move, and then continues to go further down. So definitely, sure, in retrospect we can talk about it, but it seems like the spider definitely had some good opportunities once that all-time intraday high failed just around 550.
Palantir recovering off the lows right now, up 1/3%, up 0.4 actually, really on the way up. Couple of things here. Chairman Peter Thiel commenting about AI and the company's focus on NBC News separately. Dan Ives was on Bloomberg, excuse me, and talked about his ambitions for the company, and sees basically that it's moving well to the high side here. He says dismiss the notion that Palantir is not at the forefront of cutting-edge technology and sales after we saw some weakness come into the stock this week. What's your look, guys, on Palantir?
Well, I think it got said right at the end of the morning show, or so right at the end of the midday show. At least I'm pretty sure Adair said it. And someone in the chat had mentioned, oh, Sean probably would have had the 25 long. I didn't look at Palantir once today, but really, when you try to find key price levels, or when you're looking at a stock that you want to trade, there's certain things that are obviously going to stand out. Even dollar levels. I mean, 25 is such a big number. The quarter century. But you just go back to the day before. It even gave you at 2 o'clock. Like, I was off yesterday, and I actually don't know. You can tell me. Did you guys trade Palantir yesterday?
Honestly, I don't. I definitely did not.
Okay. Because
no.
And I'm only saying that because I promise you this. Like, I've known Sean a long time. If he was trading Palantir yesterday, he would have 25 long yesterday. And then whether or not you're looking at it today, the simple act of, well, I was trading this stock in an upward trend yesterday to see it bounce, breakout, bounce VWAP, bounce VWAP, bounce 25. If you were trading this yesterday, then that's the kind of long that you really should have. Now, it's easy to say that in hindsight, but it's just true. All of a sudden, you're trend up with the market catching a bid and holding 20,000. I don't really see much of a short here. It's a red to green story, like holding above 25 and a quarter is holding green. This gets above VWAP. I'm looking trend into the high of the day. So thank you to everybody who pointed out Palantir. It's not there yet, but I mean, it's certainly looking pretty strong out here. If it can get above VWAP, as mentioned, that Nasdaq holding the 20,000 and trying to put in a higher low, if it can manage to take out the top, you look to be long, strong names and short, weak ones, at least until proven otherwise. This has bounced nicely and looks like you can put it into that other camp. Doesn't mean it has to work over VWAP, but if it consolidates over there, I'd be looking for that long on Palantir, not really seeing the short.
Yeah. No, you know what? I guess, again, a little jumbled there. I did trade Palantir yesterday. I kind of just I'm going to pull up my journal here. I pulled up my journal here and I was like, okay, yeah, no, I did take it. I attempted the reversion of, I think, well, which one was it? Okay, so this pullback here, again, very strong trend, didn't work. So I was like, all right, cool, whatever. Next trade stopped out on the break of the high, and it continued to consolidate above VWAP, holding and closing pretty strong. But you can see that today, a little bit of a chop, kind of faded back in, hasn't really gotten anywhere, still orbiting around this VWAP. But yesterday was quite strong there. I don't know what that line is there for, it's messy. But yeah, so no real continuation on the day today for Palantir. Not really doing too much R-vol either. But interestingly, look at this pullback that we get end of day, kind of confluencing with this pullback here, the high that was made, and you can see that 25 level obviously is holding once again, as it did going into I guess middle to end of day session trading there at the end of the day yesterday. So some of that support coming back in. It's interesting. A lot of these tickers, they're prior day supports, they're prior day resistances. If you're looking at some of those levels, sometimes, I mean, sure, you might want to back test that and put more nuance into that, but it seems like if there is strong action and a level does hold, you can see what I meant on Google and Nvidia. We talked about those, and similar kind of thing happening here, where it's like at the end of the day, after a strong trend, we pull back, we can't even get to VWAP, 25 holds, and comes back in today with that market tailwind, and look at that. 25 area holds once again for a reversion to VWAP. So interesting price action nonetheless, but no real trades on it today.
Amazon down a fifth despite being upgraded by or maintained as an overweight rating by Wells Fargo and a price target of $239. This one reported to us earlier in the week that they were going to take on the likes of Temu and Shein by having that cheap sort of direct from China app like Temu and Shein, and getting around that $800 tariff that's in place in the United States. That's really how Temu and Shein are operating right now, guys. What's the look on Amazon?
Look, it never, just very quickly on Amazon, it never broke 200. I had one idea that I liked for Amazon. Early on, I thought maybe if it failed 200, we'd see like a 95 pop. It was that Josh Brown thing yesterday that I wasn't here for. Like Josh Brown apparently mentioning his Amazon position, and that popped it. So I would have thought if it failed 200, you'd get a 95 move. This seems like a failed move into 200 and an all-time high, and now trend back into the downside. I put this in the weak stocks for this afternoon. It doesn't seem to want to get to VWAP. Ideally, that 96 level, which was morning range support and then resistance, that'd be the spot that you short it. But yeah, I'm not really seeing a long here on Amazon. I think you look the other way. I was just, only because I don't think we're going to be able to get away from Cassava Sciences being the big mover today. I'm looking for a pullback in, like it's pushing VWAP right now. I'm looking for a place to curl into this. I think you might have missed your opportunity to catch the bottom with that big volume candle 9 break back to the upside. So whether it's VWAP here at the 12 level, I'm looking for a curl there. If it pops through and just destroys 12, there is this halt price here where it halted 1269, opened 1270 or 1269, and then flushed. That would be the other place I'd look for a short, maybe into this halt level 1335. So I'm kind of geared up. We had to pay for locates on Cassava Sciences here at Real Trading. There were 1/4 cent for locates, and that was while it was halted down. I think it was either this halt or that halt. I went and got locates, and they were super cheap. I don't even want to know what they might be right now. There's no way that that's the same price.
Yeah, definitely. I guess the demand of those definitely would have changed there. But Amazon, we talked about it this morning. That reversion off of 199 can't even get to 200 in the pre-market. Tries to attempt that 199.83 off of the was prior day's high, also all-time highs there. Off the action in the pre-market, right? And then we get that, what was it today? PCE number, and then off of that 830, we get a strong sell-off, not only on Amazon, along with a lot of other tickers as well. 99s on 99s can't even follow through there, comes right back in. So we're talking about a reversion here. We talked about the 196 yesterday. 195 held well today. 196 holds well on the strong flush, comes back in. 99s can't test, so definitely that selling is very dominant underneath that underneath the all-time highs. And then you get that strong trend. This is a very, very clean trend there, Neil. You can see that even on a higher time frame, it doesn't really have any sort of relief until you get to 193.70s. We were looking at 195s. Does it stop there? Absolutely not. I was like, yeah, sure, maybe they're stepping up. That was just speculation on my part, but yeah, they did not show up. No real bidding happening there, but it drops down to 93.90s, and then that's kind of we were talking about the legs, the strong leg that we had on Wednesday. And then the tops that we held prior day, yesterday on Thursday, some of those levels come in as a bit of support today going into the end of the week there. So strong action to the downside. Nice little pop reversion happening right off of the open there with a hold of 96. But I don't think there aren't any more trades for me on this one as of right now. But definitely gave good opportunities. I was looking at this while trading Nike this morning. Bit of I got to do better with the juggling, you know, trading multiple tickers at once. I'm like, I see that and I see that, but I'm in this.
Well,
got to get good.
Yeah, I find what works for that. Sorry guys, I just got Cassava Sciences in here, and I'll maybe finish that thought in a second. So Sava pulls into VWAP. It doesn't quite get there. So see this move, like it gets into like 1165. For the most part, 1150 is where the sellers really start to win. And make this bit of a curl. So I jumped in, got some in the 30s. On the way back down, I kind of added in here at 20, in the low 20s. My price now 26s. And then there's a buyer that stepped up at 11 even, that just stacked a bid and refreshed it. So I took some out in front of 11. So I'm going to give it to the local high. If it breaks the local high, I got to wait for this like 1275 level or 1270 level. I'm going to give it to the local high. I have a bid down at 1050. I want to respect that halt price as well. So we just scalped a good 30 cents out of it and want to take more. And then we'll hold it. If it breaks 1050, I think I hold through a 10 break on Cassava Sciences. Bit of a turn happening in the market. Tesla just came back in. Yeah, look at that move. Like Tesla just made a bit of a turn. Nvidia just made a turn. Intel, which is the only other position I was in, that was holding strength. Now right back underneath VWAP. I scalped it into this 3110. Now it's already pulling back into break even. The reason Intel long is simply when everything else was tanking, Intel just held the line at 3090. If it can do it again, I probably come back to that bid. But Cassava's going to do crazy volume, so we're going to have a look at that for sure. ScarJo Rabbit in the house, what up? Have you noticed KRE strength? ScarJo, I have not. I'm doing the aftermarket show, so I promise you, when we do the sector recap, I would have noticed it eventually. But KRE, yes. Yes, that is strong. I don't love the fact that it's doing the whole higher low into a flat bottom break setup, but good move here for KRE. Oh, that was, you guys didn't see that chart. There's your like lower highs into a potential flat bottom here at VWAP, 4880. But certainly in the midst of a nice little hold, it's kind of diddling in the middle if you look at it on the daily, and might run into this resistance here at 49.40. I think maybe that on the daily is what's going to explain. You get the rejection of a level like that in the daily, and then you get some lower highs on weakness. Typically, like if it was above that 49.40 level and doing this pullback, I'd be going long into it. But when you pull that daily chart up, no, it's failing underneath that level. It needs to break 49.40 or maybe no continuation. So yeah, I'm not a great look. Clearly you found some relative strength, but it would need to break out that high, especially on a Friday. I don't like going long right into overhead resistance on something on a Friday.
Shorting into overhead resistance is my kind of game. Yeah.
Yeah, especially late in the afternoon. If you have that short, I think it's a good one into VWAP, but it's a good catch. Certainly KRE is looking pretty strong as well. Pitchbull saying still holding a bullish trend on Tesla. Yeah, I was just noting that it made a move to the downside, that's all. But it's since it made the bottom, I got rid of this trend line like 3 times. I must not have hit save. So since you hit that bottom, I'd agree. You're still holding a pretty bullish trend there in Tesla. This is not one of the ones I said I was looking to go short on. I think I mentioned Amazon. Amazon for sure. I mean, Cassava, which we just got into. I was looking at Nvidia and AMD, but haven't really gotten anything in those just yet. But yeah, I would tend to agree. You've got some higher lows in here on Tesla. I'm not sure it gets to VWAP. That could be a stretch today back at that $200 level. And if it got there, I'd be inclined to want to look short. But there might be some scalp trades to the long side here. I just don't love the fact that the Nasdaq seems to want to take out this 2,000 or 20,000 level again, which could be trouble.
Yeah, we keep talking about that 20,000 being a little bit of a magnet. This morning, very crazy strength, pulls right back in. Talk about a magnet, definitely magneting down off of those highs. 2280, sorry, not 2280, 20,280. Test comes in on that strength. We were talking about that. That was some crazy strength. And then, yeah, I was like, this is a little bit intense. So within the hour of the open, right? This happened by 10:15. We made these highs right here, right? So it's like by 10 o'clock, 10:15, we're kind of pulling back off of those highs, and a lot of reversions happening across the board off of that action there. You can see a similar kind of story happening there on ES. And yeah, Nike's still kind of coming back in, right? So you guys saw the trade this morning. I am very displeased with how I continued my trading afterwards during the midday session here. We can go down to the 1 minute and kind of talk about what went on here. I did have the initial idea to short, and then I got a little again, you get in your head. I got a little ego going on. I'm like, all right, we have a winner under the belt. Now I'm gonna try to be smart and revert the move. And I'm starting to see reserves at that 76 really kind of getting into my head, being like, okay, well, if this is holding, this could be good enough to take back to VWAP, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm buying all these prices, maybe a little too early here. I did try the last short into that 76 breakdown, and then on the aggressive break up. Well, aggressive is a perspective, right? I guess. Subjective is what I mean. Subjective, but it kind of comes back in sideways chop, right? But something I failed to do was look at a higher time frame. So I just want to talk about this right here. So on the 3 minute or on the 1 minute, it looks like it's kind of basing out. It's kind of consolidating. It is going sideways, not being sold off as aggressively. But I always talk about leg consolidation, leg, right? Because I'm like, okay, consolidations more often than not tend to be a bit of continuation patterns there. So this is a 3 minute on here. But if I go over to the 15 minute here, Neil, the trend is like it's pretty intact. Even if I throw up a moving average on the 15 minute, the only time it really violates it with some strength is through this wick right here, but it slams right back in and then continues to push into lows. That 76 showing up once again. So it's very clear that 76 was definitely a level of interest, maybe a sort of pivot, maybe some a lot of volume, a lot of shares being churned in and around this. There was an iceberg order here on the bid, and look at that. The only real relief that we get from below 75s comes right into 76s, and then look at that aggressive selling that follows. So it's like, all right, cool. You're able to recognize some stuff on the tape. Maybe you know what it is, maybe you don't. But here's the thing, bigger picture. I kept on reiterating this in the morning session. I'm like, all right, who are the bigger players offside? If I'm looking for the reversion, I'm looking for the intraday shorts to be offside. But the fact of the matter is, if we're breaking multi-year lows, even we were talking about these are some of the COVID. We were getting into COVID bottom prices here. I'm like, all right, well, anybody and everybody who has been long over the past few years is underwater. So you have a strong churn, and then you get another leg down. So why am I even trying to revert this? So again, I had to talk with Neil about this. I had almost double the size attempting the long than I did for the short. But definitely got a little bit in my head with that one there. Stopped out underneath this low that was made. Could definitely be a little bit better with the risk. I was in the money multiple times as my average was just in and around 76.06s at times, 76.04s as I got more above and below this churn. And yeah, I was about 40 pennies in the money, and I was like, I was looking for a reversion to VWAP. But again, I lost sight of the bigger picture, being like, all right, well, no, this move is more directional to the downside. A lot of the bigger players, you can see even in the morning session, the tape was showing us that bids are getting hit with size below the bid. So it's like, all right, it's very clear what the tape and chart are telling you, but am I really listening, or am I just kind of, trying to push my bias onto the ticker, being like, all right, well, this is enough this hold is enough. We're going to revert to VWAP.
But is it really bias?
What do you mean?
Because no, I'm just sort of like the way, like I have regrets on Nike as well, but most of it is like, why was I shorted in the first place? I'm going to finish that thought in a second because I didn't get to Disney and Sava. But Cassava Sciences, we did get one scalp trade out there in front of 11, but it looks like it wants to take out that VWAP. So I'm going to gotta jump out of the trade. I don't want this pressing from 1160 into 1260 and then act like, yeah, I'm not holding that into that. I want to see if I can short it off of that level. So I still am favoring the short trade in Sava. But if it's not going to fail here, then I'll look for it to fail up here at 1260. Got the level 2 dedicated for it. And then for Disney, I don't know if we ever figured out what the heck happened to Disney, but suffice to say Disney got punked today. It broke out that 100, it broke down underneath $100, just continued to flush. We really couldn't find the news, but 1218, this was the bottom. It just tried to get back up to that bottom, failed a support, turning into resistance, short it, give it to the high. Simple structure. If it gets down to the bottom, we're going to scalp out into the low of the day. And if it breaks the low of the day, we're going to hold for a low of the day break, just a piece to see where Disney can go. Down 3%. Nobody found it. I mean, Adara just checked again and couldn't find what the heck was going on with Disney. So I'm just looking for a continuation to the downside. But as far as Nike goes, I gave back some. And it's like, well, why was I long one, two, three times? I don't know. And I can try to explain it. I wanted an SSR bounce. That's the answer to the question. Yeah. But the bigger answer is I don't know. I wanted an SSR bounce. That's it. Every single shorting opportunity, even like the shorts that lost. Like I started the day short Disney 79 and lost. And then was shorting it at a worse price by almost $1. And then again shorting it even lower at 77. And you could have just shorted every single pop in this. Like even as it's screaming to the upside. It doesn't do a real turn until it gets to 76, and you could just short it here like 75, 70 or something like that. Yep. We always talk about, and I'm gonna flip to distractions, because one of the great things in episode 4 of the podcast, by the way, check out the Freedom and Wealth podcast, episode 5 dropping this weekend, gonna be an absolute banger, like it always is. They already taped it. I think it's gonna be great. 4, they were mentioning in life getting past all the distractions out there, all the shiny new things. Today, Nike was the right stock to trade. So the mistake wasn't trying to continue to trade Nike. The mistake was replacing horrible earnings, breakdown, no bottom, sell this crap with SSR bounce. Yeah. It's down more than 10%, so look for a short sell restriction bounce. That's the reason I was in it. I was looking for a trade setup that's a general setup over Nike is bad, continue to dump it for the rest of the day. So I know the mistake I made on Nike. It is what it is. Like I would rather lose, like, okay, whoops, Sava's on the Nasdaq. When you lose in a trade, I want it to be, this stock is trending down, I like the short. If I lose on that short and never find my way back in, I can live with that because I wanted to play the trend back in. So I attempted to do what I thought made sense. On Disney here, hit enter twice. Attempt to do what makes sense. It's trending down, look for the short play on the stock. I think a lot of times we try to get cute when we're trading, and I'm guilty of it as well. And maybe we can find our way back into Nike. There could be a gift. It could pop into 76, and maybe we can short it there again. But I know the mistake I made. I think it was just being long at all. Once, maybe, twice, did I need to? And look, how much conviction did I have in any of these longs? Like basically all I did was go into the long for more size than the shorts, and then have a tight stop anyways. What's the point?
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. I did not have a tight stop. So it's like, it can be multiple things, right? I'm like, all right, cool. The short, I can, you know what? I don't mind trying the long there, but yeah, no, we should definitely, retrospect, it doesn't make too much sense to get in on the long, but the risk can definitely be managed. I can be more nimble in terms of like churning it out. Okay, take some off when the pops kind of fail, get more down at the 76s just underneath when you like it. The reserve kind of steps down to 80s there. Maybe take some more there for the pops and then churn a lot of it out on the failure of the pop. As soon as that strength kind of dissipates, those buyers, those aggressive buyers dissipate. Here, 76.40s it went up to. Buyers start to dissipate. Why am I really buying this up as the buyers dissipate, right? So it's like that kind of decision making I got to work on and reflect on there. Don't really have to give it to the day low when you see that pop, that aggressive pop, that SSR bounce that I'm looking for kind of dissipates and pulls back in, because you know that sometimes SSR bounces can take a while to start working, and I'm keeping that in mind, but I'm not really being as nimble as I can be on the trade and pretty much give back a good chunk of what I've done in the morning off of that, right? But Neil is definitely correct. Like, okay, sure, you get out, you made a mistake, but the thing is, you come back and you observe significant action right at that same level from before, 76, and it gives you another chance to get back into the short. So why am I not taking that short as well, right? That's still opportunity on the day, on the number one ticker that I pointed out in the morning to myself, even on my trade plan. So it's like sticking with the trade that's working and sticking in the direction that it's working in. Again, going back to the phrase, the trend is your friend. Till the end where it bends, there's no real bend here. It's just continuing to trend down, even as we push into the close.
You know what
with
the
only
difference
an hour and a half
between,
left.
so a good example of a trend breaking. So you saw that Nike chart?
Yes.
This is what it looks like when a trend breaks.
Yep.
Like if you want to catch a falling knife in a stock, this is what you should be doing.
Oh, yeah.
Not Nike. And I'm saying that as someone who went long Nike 3 times. Like, look at Carvana fails $130 yesterday. Again, by the way. Like, how many times is it going to fail $130? Fails it yesterday. So where are these bounces? 124, 124, 124. Any guesses where it bounces today? Anybody? Hands up. 124. That's what you do when you're, and I'm saying this is, like, I'm mad at myself right now. Why was I not looking at Carvana? Seriously. Like, that is ridiculous. 3 days in a row. You have a stock which has it's like a 40% or whatever the heck the short float is. Look at this. Higher highs and the same bottom. Yep. 1, 2, 3 times. Look, anyone wants to, when a stock bounces, after a big move down, you know it can go far. That's the reason you want to trade, because percentage-wise, it can be fantastic. But this looks much better. I'm just asking myself, what do I want to do with this? My eyeballs are still on Cassava Sciences because it's still consolidating that same level, and I'm into that Disney short. But I don't wonder if there's not something here out in Carvana. You're clearly not going to get to, if you get to trade off the 124 again today, you don't want it, I don't think. Like, if it gets down there, I don't think you want the long again. If anything, probably like a flat bottom break. But this trend reversal, could it really take out 130 and squeeze this afternoon is what I'm asking myself. So late to the move, it's frustrating. But that's what you got to look for. Yeah. DJT was also a sell the news event. That was one heck of a fail job on DJT. I had some longs in there, and I didn't reverse this one either. Down 10%. Does it have a level coming in? Let me just double check this for DJT. It's actually breaking support as we speak. So 33 is the support level on DJT, and it's losing it right now. Ooh, I paid for locates. I want to see if it can hold this. I'm still eyeballs on Cassava Sciences because I feel like the chances of Sava doing nothing for the afternoon are pretty low. I'm going to have to jump right back into this trade. If I can get the quarters again, I might just jump back in and take these quarters on Sava. But not a bad look. If you like DJT, it losing this level could be just as good of a short opportunity.
Yeah, no, I like that Sava look as well. A ticker that I traded frequently when I was trading at home a few years ago. There.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I liked like the smaller mid caps, and I liked the euphoric moves that Sava would have every now and then. Again, being a biotech, I think biotech's being a little bit more interesting to trade. And I'd be like, okay, well, yeah, this news might be a little fugazi. Let's see how far it gets. and kind of trying to catch the backside, maybe swing shorting as well. Again, if you go back and look at Cassava Biosciences, every now and then when it did have some of those pops, the fade, the backside move on it was quite nice. We can talk about it right now. We can go up to a higher time frame. Let's go up to a weekly here, and let's take a look at what it's done in the past.
Oh, that's cold.
Before. So right here, you can see. Sure, 2021 was quite crazy there, but you can see that pops would come in. I think when I started trading around, I guess 2018, 2019-ish. Time, but yeah, you can see crazy moves. It would go again. This is it would go from like pennies on the dollar to all the way up to like 10, 15s, and then look at the backside move on these pops that would come in. So this is when I started to learn about liquidity traps. Learning about, I guess, a little more about swing shorting, maybe blowing up a couple accounts on the front side of the move as well. But you can see how beautiful of a backside it's had since 21-22, only selling off, and now even worse news, finally cracking some of this sideways consolidation we've been doing for the past couple of years there. You got to remember, this thing's been sub $10 before, and I was talking to Neil while it was halting down today. I was like, I would be surprised if it doesn't hit that $8 mark right there as it's halted down at the 15 level, opens up, comes in, and I know Neil's been taking shots at this. Makes a low of 880, so it does get sub 10, but now we're kind of chopping sideways. But yeah, shady stuff being done by some of the people on their board. I am not surprised, to say the least, for Cassava Sciences there. But again, what's the market cap on this thing? Let's do a quick look right there. So 500 mil market cap, and the float is
a lot lower than it was before. That's what it is.
Oh yeah, 45 million float on this one. So yeah, it not necessarily can be cornered too easily, but there was a time where it definitely could have been cornered a little bit easier than it can now. But selling off on some strong catalyst news, negative news, some shady stuff going on there with Cassava Biosciences. And yeah, I was looking at Carvana, the one you were talking about. Definitely agree on that one. Again, distinct bid being held throughout a majority of the week there. Kind of we've already talked about a couple tickers even on the Mag 7 that are exhibiting this kind of behavior here, where the bid is held throughout the week, and you have extensive moves in and around some of these levels as well, coming in quite hot, bouncing off that 124. So I don't really have too much else on watch going into the end of the day. Again, like I said, I only had one major idea for today, and that was Nike. And sure, I had a couple other names in play as well, and some of them I haven't really looked at, so we can take a quick run through them. We know that Chewy was moving yesterday. So again, on the Roaring Kitty tweet, you can see that again. I was like, okay, well, maybe we look for a potential squeeze, or we look for a follow through of this move that we had. So a strong push up, and I think this ticker is like what, around 14-15% short interest here. Let's take a quick look at that one. So Chewy is almost 15% short float on Chewy. So you have this euphoric action, pulls right back in, continuation off of the open, breaking some of yesterday's lows as well. What's going on, Adara?
Keep an eye on PDD here, seeing this circulated on the social media here that apparently Amazon's bargain store, we heard it talking about in China, as reported by a couple different media outlets, this bargain store would be using the same trade loophole as Temu and Shein. So basically, not only is Amazon coming to the space, some of these Chinese ADRs going to be using the same kind of loopholes to do it. So keep an eye on PDD and some of these other ADRs here, guys.
Thank you very much there, Adara. And thank you, Ahmed, in the chat, saying they're done for the day. Well, I hope you had a good day. I'll like that one right in there. I'm done. But Rivian looking short. Get to that one in a second. I kind of feel like Rivian's basing out. I looked at that chart a second ago, and it was kind of just barcoding off the low. Marshall, we'll get to Disney in a second. It is trying to break that consolidation. You can see the consolidation chop if you're watching a Disney chart. If it breaks that consolidation high, I get out of it easy. And Elon, well, I'll go over this one more time. We talked a lot about Nike. Unless it does something, we'll probably stop talking about it. What prompted you to take Nike when it fell below yada, 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 that recent low of 80.70? When we sat down today, it was like, I'm looking for a Nike short. because Nike has no support until $60 on the daily chart, and we open the day by, why can't I zoom in? That was a bit weird. We opened the day with a move up, and my first inkling was to short that pop, short that one, short consolidation, short that, for some reason not short this move at 76.5. And when it made this bottom, like this double bottom at an even dollar, I simply wanted an SSR bounce, short sell restriction. Stock down 10%, catches a bid, look for a higher low long into VWAP. It's just a setup that has worked for me in the past, and instead of playing the trend, I stopped playing the trend and went for that setup. That's the answer. It's not a great answer because obviously it was the wrong thing to have done. So I can acknowledge that. It is what it is. And as I said before, I would rather look for shorts like this that don't hold than, kind of go in there on Nike and try to fight it in there when these do work. When you short like a consolidation on a trend down, like when it doesn't work, you take a small hit. When it does work, all you got to do is just ring it in for the rest of the day like you were doing in the morning. There is nothing better than an all-day trend as a trader. Nothing. Yep. It's exactly what you're looking for, where you can just short every single pop from open to close, and you're in position short the entire time, and you're looking for places to add. To the point where, like imagine for a second that I was in Disney all the way. Maybe if I'm already in this trade and then adding here, I might be able to give it a little bit more room and not care as much that it's making that higher low. I think it kind of looks a little bit bullish off this bottom. So I'm going to get out when it takes out to 99. But if you're just shorting it the whole way, it's a lot easier to hang on because you've been following that trend the entire time. So that's what you got to do. I see Kevin saying this NNE, the stock that says knee. I don't know what this thing. You know that one.
Oh, of course.
Okay, see this. I never know whether you
Monty
get
Python and the Holy Grail.
Okay.
Absolute classic.
Okay, now we're good because most of the time, I never.
Tis but a scratch.
Oh yeah.
Tis but a scratch.
The Black Knight, you can't mess with the Black Knight. You take off two arms and two legs, and that dude is still talking trash all day, every day, because it's a flesh wound, merely a flesh wound. My favorite scene is actually when they get to the French castle. And the French just start lobbing crap at them and dropping insults.
Yeah.
That's my spot right there.
And what's was it the holy hand grenade with the
holy hand grenade of Antioch?
Yeah. With the bunny, the carnivorous bunny. Yes, classic. I like that one, but. Yeah, no. Monty Python is definitely has some good movies for sure. Yeah.
There was a reason I said knee. Oh, because of that NNE stock. That's why.
Who are you so wise in the ways of science?
She's a witch. That's actually a great scene, though. The logical,
I love that,
one of the best parts about that scene. If you've never seen it, apologies to everybody. Go watch Monty Python: Quest for the Holy Grail. There's a scene where they're trying to figure out if they should burn this woman that they say is a witch, and the dude goes on this ridiculous logic rant, which is completely absurd. Like, well, what else floats? Wood floats. What else floats? A duck. Okay, so if she weighs more than a duck, then she's a witch. And it's like, it's utter not, if she weighs the same as a duck, she's a witch. But the problem with that is, people do this all the time. I see people do that in trading.
Oh yeah.
Like, you can take the weirdest logical leap. Like, you heard me just talk about getting into longs in Nike. It's like, you can convince yourself of anything as a trader. And like that, yeah, why not?
You see it
Wood
happen.
floats, witch floats. Yeah. Duck also floats. She weighs the same as a duck, then she's a witch. Burner. That's literally the logic they follow. I love that show. I'm watching that this weekend because I don't get to go to the baseball game on Sunday because of my leg. So my wife and daughter and my neighbors are going in my stead. I'm going to be sitting at home sad by myself. It's more than a damn scratch, unfortunately. Although I do have these. I couldn't find anything proper. Someone had chopsticks on the floor. So I'm literally using just like unopened chopsticks to scratch when I actually get an itch on this stupid cast. I know you can buy things for it, but I'm cheap, so I wanted something that was already on the floor.
Convenience.
Yeah,
it's right
can't
there.
beat the convenience.
Yes.
Utilitarian, yeah, something like that.
Nike coming in for the lows again. So I guess it's starting to pique my interest here. If we're going to kind of push, let's see what we do. Let's see what we do going into power hour here with only about 11 minutes left to go. It's 2:49 as of right now, and we are trading below the 75 level here. Day low coming in at 74.76s. So yeah. Best prices to short maybe on these pops, but we talk about that 76 being a little bit significant. We've only been making lower highs building into the day low for that, so kind of missed some of the entries potentially here. But let's see what it does with this day low here. Maybe if we get some pops as well, maybe. Time to continue the trend, or maybe not. We could just get that reversion going into the end of the day, where sellers who have been kind of winning throughout the day have to kind of cover their positions or choose to cover their positions. But again, that might just be me making assumptions that are unnecessary. I can just be getting with the trend and then let the chart tell me that the trade is finished. What's going on with Rivian?
I mean, if you're talking about trends and continuation, we had the super chat about Rivian. Apologies for, I think I mentioned that we didn't actually show the chart because we started talking about Monty Python, all that good stuff. We get distracted so easily. 1340, yesterday's bottom. Consolidation off yesterday's bottom, down 8%. Selling off since it had the big shot to the upside on the Volkswagen news, not Volvo, Volkswagen news. So what I see here is a potential flat bottom break. It is, I mean, obviously it's already dumped a little bit and you're always careful shorting these bottoms, but it just took out the low at 1330. Even if it breaks back up, there's a 1350 available for you. Just looking for opportunities out here. Nike might be a short the pop situation as well, if it can even do so. I'm very skeptical whether Nike is going to even give you a move to the upside to fade. And I keep coming back to Carvana. Like Carvana it's so strong off of that bottom. And it's only down 2%, but it's right at VWAP. It's still got that massive short float. I'm not convinced. It probably needs to break this out in some fashion, but I'd be inclined to look for a long in Carvana instead. So I'm looking for something I can join to the short side. If we lose 20,000 here and I can't work my way back into a short, then I'm going to hate myself for it. It doesn't make any sense, right? Like the market is trending down. We already got out of the best short that we could have had, which was Nike, and that was an obvious mistake. And as I said, you might not get another opportunity to short a pop in Nike. So if it doesn't break a fresh low, what are you going to do with the stock? Nothing. Rivian's at least giving you that opportunity where it's breaking underneath this bottom. Like if it takes out these quarters, why not take a quarter short, 24 short into a 30? That's 5 or 6 cents worth of risk. If it goes to $13, you've risked 5 cents. There's a lot of gap for this to still be able to fill if it wants to give it all up. That's $12.50 to fill in the rest of that gap. That's a reasonable place to join. I like the risk to reward. I'd rather lose small to join the trend and try to win big if that's what we're going to try and do. But that Carvana looks pretty juicy still.
Yeah, here comes the lows on Nike. Really getting some stomping in these Air Force Ones here. I need 2 pairs for these Air Force Ones. Maybe you remember that song, Nelly? Yeah, of course.
I remember Air Force Ones and Nelly.
Yeah.
I'm the one of us that was alive when that song came out, Obi.
Yeah. So here it comes in, stomping into those day lows right there. Only about 10 pennies away. Let's see if we can get some significant action off of this. Again, I'm going to be patient. Don't really have too much on the board. Again, something else to mention today is that Russell rebalance day as well. So going to be watching out for some of those closing trades. Here's 300 lots on the bid, 74.80s on an Edge X. So yeah, definitely something is showing up here. Whoa, look at that stack on the ask right there. That stack kind of did they all get filled? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, interesting stuff. So yeah, interesting price action. We were just talking about this. So interesting stuff happening here, pushing into that day low as size shows up on the bid and then multiples of size showing up on the ask and potentially getting taken out as well. So interesting stuff, maybe not ready yet, but I will be waiting for it to pop lock it, and then let's see if it can drop it afterwards a little bit more, as it's been doing that all day long underneath VWAP in a very, very strong trend. Again, not really going to play the breakdown right away. I'm not really too much a intraday or end of day breakout or breakdown type of execution person, but
You got to start somewhere.
yeah, I guess, but definitely can be taking these pops and shorting into that strength that's failing, and then maybe even I guess on the flip side, if something is trending up, I like to look for the pullbacks to buy into that I guess weakness, if you want to call it, to take the trend.
So what
there.
you're saying is
Yes.
worst entry ever.
I mean, that's not too bad.
No, I can't. Like, you have to trade like whatever you see. Like, I'm just intrigued by Carvana's triple bottom the last 3 days. Like, look at this stock the last 3 days. If something is gonna squeeze this afternoon, like, why not this? Trying to break out this top. But I get it. Like, it's either you like breaks or you don't. And late in the day, it would be easy. Like, if you like a mean reversion trade, I would totally defend being short this thing, right? Like, the way I see it, I just want to take shots at this long, and then all I need is like one of them to work. Just one. Like, if I can find my way into like a 30, 40, 50 cent stop level, like, let's take a breakout trade with a tight stop. And if it doesn't work, let's look for a dip buy that makes a lot of sense. And then you get one trade on Carvana, and it's going to go $2 or $3. And you're scalping 70 cents and $1.50 and all that good stuff, and maybe hold it for like a $2 move. I want that to happen. So I'm going to be on this stock for some kind of a long, and maybe that break was not the right idea. But that is one ridiculous bounce off the bottom. And look what happened yesterday. It did something similar, right? Like, there's your bottom, pull back, goes into VWAP, consolidates a bit, and then breaks it out. I'm just looking for that to happen. And it continued for the rest of the session until it got to the high. So it's not impossible we could do that again. So I think in the afternoon, it doesn't matter what style of trade you do. I just want to be in things where I'm not going to give back a lot if I take a hit. But if it starts to go, you can really get yourself a nice winner. So if you guys see things that are moving, let me know. Obviously, I joked about Nike not breaking the lows.
Broke the lows.
Now it broke the lows.
Yep. Yeah.
So, I mean, let me just look at Rivian for a second, because Rivian is a similar setup, maybe not as weak. Rivian's bouncing, so that's no good. Nike, it is a short the pop situation on Nike. Every single time this makes any kind of a consolidation after a pop, it's worth shorting. Every single time, not sometimes, every time. And now you're just getting continuation to the downside. There are no bottoms on this chart. You guys can pull it back as far as you want. Trust me when I tell you got to go to the 2020 low and it's $60. So there's nothing out here except thin air.
There was a bit of a gap, I guess a gap fill, if you want to call it, there into, what was it, 74s, I think. Excuse me. And yeah, 74s are trading as of right now. Let me just pull it up so we can kind of see that level right there. So it's like, okay, cool. You know what? I think it might be a little bit better on the hourly as well. But yeah, okay, so if you look it on the weekly, yeah, for sure, there is no level until 60, but then you go down to maybe, you know what, maybe a 3 hour will show us a little bit better there. Let's see if we can capture some of that action in right here. So boom, right here, we broke that 76. That's 76 and change, 76.30s, right? Again, now I'm looking at this retrospect, the pops that happened when I was trying to get long, couldn't even get past 76.40, so that's something to consider. I'm like, oh, well, didn't I point this level out before? 76.30s, is that kind of base before or post-COVID lows right here at that $60 mark? And those pops could not get past 74.30s and 40s. So I'm like, all right, well, that's even more reason to get out of the long and maybe re-engage the short here. But look at this little bit of a gap. 72.60s is what I mean. 72.60s, some of these highs here at 73, 74s right there. So we're pretty much coming into that area right here, 75. Just printing below 75 on the breakdown. 75, 74, 70, 75s were the day lows, and we did break them. We're reclaiming 75 as of right now. Again, taking a look at the 15-minute chart, this thing has been in a beautiful trend all day. So do we look for the bid? Do we look for the short? I have no idea, but no real kind of trades happening on this one. What's going on?
Let me try something. Just look, in the midday, you guys were probably watching the midday, and you heard me say in the chat that Ramin gave me 3 new buttons, which allowed me to control some cameras on my stream deck, and then told me not to press them. So I'm just going to start pressing them because Fabian can correct anything I do here. So, nope.
Okay.
What's this one do? No.
That's the chair.
What?
My
What?
chart again.
Hold on a sec. First of all, that doesn't
get-
even make any sense. Like, my key goes to... I thought I had a key that could put me on camera anytime I wanted. So, like, Obi could be talking, and I thought I got a key that would allow me to just, no matter what's happening, it then comes to my
Take
shot or
over,
comes
yeah.
to my screen. But Ramin lied to me, and that's not what I have. That's not even fair. I think she was messing with me. She knew, Ramin knew that, I guarantee you she knew that wasn't gonna do what I wanted it to. So unfortunately that key doesn't work, but that's all right. I'm slightly disappointed right now. And I'll try to hide my disappointment for everybody else's sake. Someone just mentioned MLGO to me, and I saw it in the chat. I'm like, it's not moving.
Been running.
Nike is making a pop. I know it doesn't look like much, but
Back into 75.
who cares?
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Back into 75, it's worth a shot. Like, give me some mid 90s. We'll try to grab it. I do have to. I'm only in one thing left, which is Intel. You know, if we flat bottom break this, I can't think of a good reason why I wouldn't short Intel. I'm not reloading 95s. That's the first part. I should have reloaded 95s here. I didn't. I don't know if I should reload it again. But if we lose 89, I'm shorting 88 on Intel. Like, give me a break. If it flat bottom breaks, we have a key for it and everything. Like, that key works. Now, that key does exactly what I expect it to. So if we lose 89, I'm shorting 88. For now, I have Intel at 95. I'm just going to jump out if it loses this level here. I probably should just punch out of it as we speak. What are we even waiting for? I shouldn't be in that one anymore. I think the opportunity to get out was when it bounced here. I should have just taken VWAP, and it shouldn't matter that if you're only holding the last 5%. That shouldn't matter how you act with the position. You should do make the optimal decision regardless of share size. If I was flat, what would I do? If it bounced here and I was in a position anywhere, it's like, well, you should take it out when it fails here. You should take it out in there. Don't hold it just because you don't care about how much you have left. That's a crappy way to make decisions, because you know what? You don't learn anything that way, because then you're making a decision without thought. So shorting back into 75 on Nike, because that's what it's doing. Where does it go from here? Hopefully down to fresh lows like it's been doing the rest of the day. Or not the rest of the day, but like it's been doing all day. That's the ideal for Nike. If it breaks 75, fine. We can have a nice little even dollar out. The trend is your friend. I don't know where the bid is going to be on the long term for this thing. My approach to when this happens on a stock, it could be any stock, on earnings or, I don't know, like bad news, like Sava's news, for example, or a short seller report. Like, there's a million reasons why a stock can go down, just adjusting some orders there. But when it does this, the first thing I'm considering is let it make a bottom first. So clearly that has not happened today. On Monday, maybe it holds 74. If it does that for 2 days in a row, where either holds the same low or holds a low and then a higher low, then I might start looking for some longs. Not what we did today. It's a short till it's not. That's my attitude with Nike. Like, we just got into this. It's like, you saw me get into Disney. Yeah. You get nice. Short 95s into 75. It's at 80 instantly. Like, come on, like, seriously. We talk about this all the time. I will fight trend like anybody else will when you see a key price level. Everybody does it. You'll short tops because it's a good level and you like it. But when you get a good looking trend, sometimes just joining it is the way to go. You know, like, oh, I want to show you, like, you know, like, what are we doing? Like, why am I doing that? Why am I doing that? What you should be doing is, instead of trying to take this, ooh, look, it's breaking, let's go long here, don't do that. If you would go long, well, where would your stop be if you were going to go long? Oh, I'd stop it out here, go short there and give it to that. Oh, if I go long here, I'd stop it out there, go short there and give it to that. Both those trades, if you simply reverse it, those are gangbuster shorts.
Yes.
So you've got to think about it. Like, you have the levels right, and if you have, sometimes you get that inclination to fight the trend, you might have the levels right. Just look at that execution you take for the long, and maybe think about that reversal. Like, what does it look like if you reversed it? And if it's that good, then just short everything. So that's what it is for this. GameStop apparently is dumping as well. DJT, remember DJT through that low? I keep typing like NASDAQ on New York stocks and New York on NASDAQ stocks. Oh, you know it's a Friday when I can't remember like what market everything is on. DJT, when it broke that 33 level, trend down, lower high, now trying to put in another pop. I don't know. If you got locates on DJT, might be worth shorting pops in this name too.
Yeah, no, I like that the reverse it kind of mentality. So I'm always asking myself, is it worth it? Let me work it. You know, put my thing down, flip it, and reverse it. That's the mindset there that Neil is talking about for that there. I definitely looking back at it, I should definitely have flipped it and reversed it there through the 76s, and then yeah, that 75 coming in pretty clutch as it pulls back into low a day there, Neil, for a push into fresh low days. What's going on, Adara?
No, sorry.
Sorry?
Oh, we weren't supposed to throw to Adara.
All right.
I like
Come on, Fabian.
It's all very confusing.
All right. Anyway, so I got a little short on Disney there. Disney popping back up, and it's been making kind of some lower highs and lower lows as well. It did kind of attempt to break some trend there, but look at this prior kind of push up. It started to reject a little bit of that as well.
Ask.
Looking left here. Let's take a quick look left on a higher time frame. Maybe not a week. Let's go down to the daily here and take a look at some of these levels from before. So we did kind of come in to this gap that we had off of, when is this? This is February of this year, bit of a gap up on Disney, but some of these highs being right around that 99 level. So we attempted to push off of it, can't really make it too far, and now we're retracing back down. Now again, we talked about like what is the news on this thing, and we can't really find anything too distinct. I think there might have been some stuff going around.
There's a theory.
There's
and
a
Brendan
theory.
mentioned this. There's some people mentioning that Nike pointing to China weakness could bleed into Disney and a few other names that I guess could be affected by that. Like I don't.
Weird. Okay.
The other way to play it, and I think, sure, I'm on Snowflake's chart. The other way to think about it could also be for Disney. Let's look at the trend since the earnings. Sometimes it can just be. It doesn't matter the catalyst. If it could be it could be the smallest thing, but since earnings. Lower high consolidation breakdown, lower high consolidation breakdown. And look what happens the day that it breaks the consolidation. It's just a hammer. And then breaks the consolidation, it's a hammer. It's each one of these days. And so all that happened, there's your next lower high, tries to break the trend, and it loses support, and then it just dumps. Like look at the sideways action on it. It's like it tries to go up, holds the same low. What happens when you break a flat bottom break like that? It just gets nasty. Sometimes a technical break is just a technical break, and the sellers, they just win. It can be that simple, obviously. Varsha saying NFL file lawsuits for Disney? Maybe. I don't know.
I still couldn't find.
Oh, there's a halt here. DLA. What is it? The heck is this thing?
What's going on?
No, I just saw someone mention there's a halt, and it's like at $1, which is usually interesting for me, but the book is kind of, suffice to say this looks like it's going to be really, really thin, but we'll see. So this DLA, which is over on the former Amex, is halted to the upside. I haven't seen any news. Done 1.7 million shares, which is kind of, for a dollar stock or penny stock, it's really not all that good. So I don't know what the spread's going to be like. When you pop it on the daily chart, certainly interesting enough if it can break $1. But I'm not sure what the liquidity is going to be like on this DLA. Delta Apparel. Delta Apparel, that sounds cool.
Sounds familiar almost.
I'll tell you this right now. On first glance, Delta Apparel sounds like the kind of company you wouldn't want to short going into July 4th. I'm just going to throw that one out there. I have no idea what they do, but it doesn't sound like something you'd want to be going short. You can think about that what you want. 6 million share float, only 1% short float, so it's about the size of the float here. It's done 1.7 million, so it's got this move. I don't know if there's news on it. I'll double check. I'll throw it to you, Obi, and I'll double check to see if it's got any news on it for DLA.
Yeah, I'm just continuing to watch Nike and Disney. Don't really have too much else on the board here. Let us know, what are you guys looking at going into the close? Are you guys looking at anything for the Russell imbalance happening today, or Russell rebalance happening today? Futures and NQ, I guess ES and NQ kind of pushing for fresh lows there. ES for sure, NQ on its way there. Wick low just above that 19. thou 980 happening right now. We talk about that 20 thou being a little bit of a magnet. Definitely, it is magnetized pretty much all week there. 99's holding as of right now. We look left a little bit there. So there was a little bit of a low here initially intraday. And then if you look back, a little bit more as well, this low right here, right there, just 99.30s, right? So just kind of a bit of confluence there happening. Let's see if we can break a little bit lower. The trend is very strong going into the end of the day. Again, can't really figure out what the news is, but I guess there's some speculation around what it is. But the price action seems a little bit distinct there. That it's selling off, and I'm just using technicals, I guess, to kind of as a guide there. So people talking about GME, Dell, Success, Carvana into the close, Mara.
Dell.
Let's take a quick look at those, Neil.
Dell's trying to get back to the upside, but it feels like this looks just like the Disney chart. Is it not? I mean, it's not the same thing, but okay, so dumps through a previous low, then tries to make a high at the previous low into 138. Usually when I see this, it's like you short it, you short it, you short it until it breaks the 138 level. That's what I see for Dell. I have nothing against Dell. I think the problem with wanting to be short this, if I see a pattern like this on a daily chart, since it got pulled back in, it's higher lows and hugging the 50-period moving average. I have a hard time when a stock does this. It just feels to me like there's probably something weaker that you can short. This is just hugging the 50-period. Like, where's the explosive move down likely on a Friday? You can probably scalp it. I'm just not seeing it when you have this kind of action on a daily chart. Other things might be more interesting. Pablo saying WBA.
Yeah, earnings day 2. Is that a daily?
No, yeah, it's a daily.
Okay.
But yeah, oh goodness, yeah, this was nasty. I don't know if this is. Remember we kept talking about when a stock does a big move to the downside, don't try to make a bottom, allow it to make a bottom, then go long. Walgreens was that already. There's your low after getting dumped on earnings. It bounces, there's your SSR bounce. It then holds that low and breaks out at the open. Instead of trying to catch a long on Nike, you could have been long here. And then when it came and retested 12, you could have just been long there again. Don't catch a falling knife. Let the stock make its own bottom, give you some kind of confirmation, and then just go long. So 12 long looks pretty solid here. I would rather be 1201 long or 1202 long on Walgreens and lose than be long on Nike. And look, obviously you go long off the bottom here, and if it wins, but just be with the trend. Worry about Nike long next week. So if we can get something else in here as a 75, we're going to reload that. Some people asking about, Varsha is asking about CRM, and Paul's saying Pan W is dumping. We just lost 20,000 on the futures. A lot of things are probably dumping right now. And I got to go over, I know I'm going to short this Intel if it breaks 88. So I said if we lost 20,000 on the Nasdaq, this is a flat bottom break. It's one of the only strong stocks I see which can give you a breakdown, and if it continues, I mean, Intel is a pretty cheap stock. It breaks 88, you're short 86 or 87, and your stop could be like 90 or 95, and the low down here is like 55, 60. I like that risk to reward. So if we continue this flush, I'm going to get my stop order in. 88 breaks, I'm short Intel easy.
Yeah, that Intel is looking like it's cracking down as well. Other tickers looking kind of similar here, Neil. I'm looking at ARM as well. I did pull up, as soon as you said Intel, I pulled up my, I guess, AI chip basket there, looking at some of these names. And I think it was Sebastian in the chat, asking us both, would you hold Success over the weekend? I don't really, I guess, swing the ETFs like that. This is a semiconductor bear, 3 times leveraged ETF here. Nice little move intraday though. I don't know. Again, I don't know whether you're long or short, but I'm not gonna really speak on holding over the weekend. But intraday definitely gives us that opportunity. Again, if you don't want to get long and short off of these, you can play an inverse ETF like Success and get long for that reversion move as well. So lots of choices, lots of opportunities in this market nonetheless. But something I do want to point out, as Neil is talking about Intel, is ARM. ARM is pushing for day lows as well. It attempted that 170.88, recently making all-time highs as well, right? So what was that, 179.29? We've been printing a little bit sideways, and as of today, can't really get past that 170 on a Friday. Printing days, or attempting to print day lows here, only about a few pennies away. 163.15 is what we're trading at. 162.34 is the low there. So maybe not. That's quite a few pennies there, almost a point, but definitely near the low day there on ARM. You can see that prior days we talk about a similar thing going on. The bid holding here at that 62, and then the prior day as well, Thursday. Look at that wiki action. Can't really break down below that 62. Gets that strong push into the close. Attempts to go a little bit further today. Comes right back through. So ARM, not really one that I look at too often, I guess, in terms of taking a trade. But I do have it up on my basket of tech/AI names that may or may not be hot with the AI hype that we've been having, I guess, over the past year, right? Yeah, other names I've got going on here. I know people were talking about AMD as well. AMD, not really at day low, but consolidation lows here at that 161.5, so 161. So pushing for the lows as well, with only about 45 minutes left to go. I guess another one that you might be interested in, if you do like to take the ETFs, looking a little bit opposite to the success for obvious reasons. The semiconductor ETF by Van Eck, SMH, pushing for not really day lows, but again, strong trend to the downside towards day lows, trading in the lower quartile of today's price action here at 260.66. Again, if you look at the futures, kind of a very similar move there, but futures a lot more closer to their lows. NQ right there. ES actually making fresh lows. And are you still in that Nike short?
We should have reloaded this.
Yeah, because all I see is waves of dark red coming in. And I look over, I'm like, oh, 74.40s. Again, 74.75 was this prior day's low here. We're still chopping and churning just within that area here on Nike. So it's been a slow bleed off of this morning action. Well, the morning was quite aggressive sideways, and then a slow bleed after.
You know how I knew it was a short? Because like obviously like I wear like, you know, shoes, like work kind of shoes when you're working in an office, but with you know, when I'm crutching around, I got to wear something which is a little bit more like athletic, gonna be on that one leg a lot. I got my Allbirds on. I didn't even put on my runners. And you know what? My runners aren't even Nike anymore. Not gonna lie, New Balance. And I'm not gonna pull up Allbirds because I know how bad that sock is gonna look, but I love them. They're fantastic. They're great and comfortable shoes. But Nike should have been a reload.
Yeah, that's
like it did it again. There is a single on a 3-minute. There's a single green candle, and then that's your short. Single green candle on the 3-minute, go short. That now would have worked twice, and it made a fresh low. This is what we talk about. Like the trend is your friend. So if it bounces 74.5, I might jump out of it. Every $0.50 I think is something going into the close. The Nasdaq's losing this $20,000 level, so 20,000 level. I don't know why I say that for the futures. The Nasdaq is trying to lose, I should say, that 20,000 level. Whoa, we're not done yet. Like it just keeps wicking back and forth that 20,000. The futures could hold on here, and if they do, they got to find what is strong. I bet you Nvidia is probably with that hold. If 20,000 holds, Nvidia is probably going to make a move to the upside. Where are you, Nvidia? Nah, not really. That's kind of lame. It's trying to go off 124, but that's not a very big move on Nvidia at all. But you can see this 20,000 battle. If it resolves to the upside, I think this looks like it could be something. We had talked about Tesla maybe not looking all that bullish. And there's really nothing that looks great for a long off this 20,000, Obi.
Yeah, that 20, again, I'm watching it. 20,000 definitely could easily bounce there. Something I do want to note here is, does Nike have any effect on cotton futures? Because I got a couple of alerts for cotton futures in the, I guess, in the morning, kind of cracking with some aggression. Down on the day. Now I don't really trade these. I'm pretty sure we do have access.
I could
to
make
cotton,
a great joke
cotton futures there, yeah, cotton futures selling off quite aggressively in the middle of the day. Look at that noon strong quadunk.
We don't have the futures.
We don't have the futures. I think we have access to them, but it's just.
I don't know. We have a lot of futures contracts that we can trade here at Real Trading. I know we can trade oil and gold, and we can trade natural gas, and obviously like the equity futures. But I don't think we can trade cotton futures. And I don't know. I actually don't even know if there's an ETF that we could trade either. I've never looked at it, to be honest with you.
I'm just curious because again, Nike being a major clothing company, would that have any sort of effect on those? I'm not familiar. Just a question I'm curious about. But yeah, I think Sean James is asking Tesla bounce. I haven't looked at Tesla since this morning.
I used to run against a guy named Sean James, one of the fastest. Like back in when I was in high school, I wasn't like that fast, but if you run track, like you knew the guy. If you're a track athlete and you're a sprinter, like I would know the people in my age range in the province that could beat me, like by name. And there was a dude. And he was like a grown-ass man when he was 16 years old. And that dude was an absolute beast. I remember playing, and I went to the same junior high as this guy. And like he was a stud. Like he went, full scholarship down south somewhere, I forget. 100-meter champion in the province, like all that kind of stuff. But I remember in junior high we played tackle football against this dude. And he was in grade 8 and I was in grade 7. Or maybe, yeah, he was in grade 8, I was in grade 7. And I was the only person that could kind of run with him, and I had the angle when he was trying to run the touchdown, and I had the angle on him, so I caught the guy. I literally jumped on his back and couldn't bring him down. Like this dude, it was ridiculous. So all I remember for Sean James is like the trauma of just getting my butt kicked. And then when I had to race against the guy in high school, it was just not even fair. I'm like, why does he look like Ben Johnson on steroids when he's 17 years old? That's all. And the guy was the nicest guy you'd ever meet too. So Nike just came back into 75. So you know what's up with that. Levi down cotton. Now I actually like that one. Yeah. Oh, 75 just went.
Yep.
So we put a reload in.
Bid.
It is. That was an aggressive bid. So I had just
distinctly different.
I had just offered 98s. Did I get 98s? Yeah, I just offered 98 and was out instantly on a break. Like, and that is a little different. That was a violent move, but I don't mind it. You got to short those pops. That's a strong stock. It's a weak stock. You go for the short to pop, but back through 75, that was one heck of a bid in there. So we did get the reload, and it just took it out. I don't mind taking another opportunity for this, but I'd like to see it calm down. That is the strongest candle that it's had literally all day.
Yep.
Well, outside of the open. You had the open.
Strongest candle to the upside.
That's a strong to the upside. Well, outside of the open.
Yeah.
Like at 9:30, it had this candle, which ended up being the best possible opportunity to short. Didn't hold on to that one. Thankfully, we got. Just think about how bad that is. Like I got out of this short to then short it. That's at $79. To then short it back again at $78.25. Imagine what the day is like if I don't get stopped out here, or I'm fast enough to get in here. I just wasn't fast enough to get that trade. Is what it is, but Nike's still a bit of a dog. Yeah, we'll talk about, that was not Rick James. Netflix, I don't want to jump from stock to stock at this point. Like my eyeballs are on Nike, Nvidia, still that Intel breakdown. I don't want to get too far out of the pocket here. The volume's really good on Nike. That might have been a breakout long, but I don't want to go against the grain. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, it's finally coming back up to
that might have been it.
Some of these prior levels here. Yeah, the tape is, I guess, again, distinctly different on that bid. But then again, I wasn't necessarily at my desk for this retest of 78, so I didn't really see the bid happen here either. And this does seem like it made a bit of an aggressive pivot off of these 74.80 lows. So can't really make too much of a judgment in terms of relative difference or relative change in this bid that's happening, because I didn't really observe the other strong bid that happened. Again, not as fast. That happened from 74.80s all the way to 76s there. So a little patient on this one, but yeah, it seems like it just comes right back through that day low. And NQ still trading, I guess now trading underneath 20,000 there, and I'm looking for this trend to come back in. We talked about maybe looking at pops to get involved into Nike. This might be the pop that we were looking for. Disney also attempting to curl back up. a little bit as well. And I think, yeah, somebody in the chat was saying, oh, Levi's is down, and I heard Neil mention this as well. Levi's is down. Yeah, it was a super chat. Levi's down, therefore cotton down. That makes a lot of sense as well. Somebody else in the chat was like, Obi's trying to use his whole brain there when I tried to make the Nike and cotton, I guess, link there with the question. But no, Levi definitely sounds like one of the things they make. I guess they make a lot of jeans, and again, cotton being the main ingredient in a lot of these jeans. And you can see middle of the day, it got quite an aggressive sell-off, kind of starting off around 10:45. So not really in step with that 12 o'clock midday flush on cotton futures, but definitely selling off quite aggressively on the day. Nonetheless, is the Levi Strauss. So might be something to watch. Very strong trend on the day. I'm still kind of holding this short here on Disney, looking for potential opportunities, as I said, on Nike. Got to see some failure to follow through of this pop to kind of look to get involved. But then again, we only have 35 minutes left until the bell.
Holy crap.
And even less until those imbalances come out, Neil. So
it's true.
A little excited for that. Might be a big day, might not be. Let's see what shows up. Let's take it. If it's there, if the trade is there, you take the trade. If it's not, you don't really try to, I guess,
don't force it.
Force it, finesse it. You know, it's not there. It's not there. Next trade. that is the prime mental to kind of have. And obviously, I'm not. I say that because that's something I want to work on. That is a quality that I am working on achieving. I'm not saying it because I'm already there. I'm saying it because I like to speak into existence things that I'm trying to manifest.
I 100% agree.
Which is, you know,
call yourself
friend is the friend. Of course, I got to call myself out. Who else is going to do it? Who else is going to do it if not me? Right?
That's exactly. Who else is going to do it?
Call them out. Call them out.
And like, there's no. We had this conversation before. There's no such thing as improving, like getting all of the trading mistakes or cognitive biases, all that kind of stuff. You don't get that to zero. It doesn't happen. You get it to as close to zero as possible. You're not going to change everything or just become perfect. We're not robots. But all you can do is try your best. And as I say that, Nike, I do want to be patient, but every single time it's halted, or not halted, every time it's stalled one of these moves, it's been a good short. So I don't wonder if this same one here, like you're getting a nice push, it's going into prior resistance at that 30 level, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Like, I'll hate myself if I didn't take another shot at this one short. I don't believe in giving it up just yet. At this point, I'm not even sure Intel's going to get to that flat bottom break. I have my order in, but it's like 5 cents away and won't break the level. That's a little frustrating. If we trend into the close, I know Nike's trending down at least, and if I can find my way back into it, the low of the day is at 74.5. There's plenty of room for us to play with Nike. There was a couple of other things people were talking about. I heard like some Netflix in there, and is Foot Locker down? I just got the question in my ear. Fabian was asking if Foot Locker is also down. I mean, it's not down nearly as much. But yeah, it's not having a good day. I think sometimes, like if you were looking for, I'm thinking out loud here, everybody. If you're looking for a long in Nike, and this goes with anything that gets destroyed to the downside, which, by the way, Nike's already at 75. This is stupid. It's short the pops. If you're looking for something which is down for a bid on something to the downside, find a sympathy name, something that only fell because the original stock fell, and then maybe try for a long there. Because Foot Locker is reacting to Nike being down when it gaps down. So if it catches a bid, at least it doesn't need Nike to rally with it. It could just go on its own. Look at the difference. At the open, when Nike popped up and then flushed, well, in that same moment, you could have bought the dip in Foot Locker off VWAP and it made a fresh high. Sympathy plays. There is a reason why when GameStop did that Roaring Kitty nonsense, for 3 days in a row, my best stock short was BlackBerry. Because BlackBerry had no business going up in the first place, so we just shorted. When GameStop would go up, we'd short Pops and BlackBerry. And, well, it's probably not going to show you. Thank you. Every time I try to pull this chart up so we can actually show a BlackBerry chart, it takes forever to load because no one cares about this stock. But essentially, what would happen is when the Roaring Kitty stuff happened, you would just short the Pop, short the pop, and you get these nice little wicks, and it flushed for a couple of days. And then it just went back to doing the normal thing that it always does, which is gravitate towards a fresh low. But for 3 days, when Roaring Kitty had GameStop higher, this was a gorgeous looking short every single time. I feel like that's what Foot Locker was.
Yeah, Foot Locker not really selling off as much. What's going on, Indira?
Be aware here of Boeing. This is getting circulated a little bit here. CNBC reporting this a couple of minutes ago. Apparently, Boeing delaying its Starliner return for, quote, weeks due to some testing issues. NASA saying that astronauts are not stranded, but apparently they want to test and wait to investigate some issues with the thruster on the spacecraft. So they're keeping the Starliner up for, quote, weeks for some more testing before this. We'll have this return, but the astronauts apparently not stranded, as according to NASA, as reported by a couple places here, including CNBC and Reuters, guys.
All right, Boeing.
They're not they're not stranded. They're not coming back, but they're not stranded. Is that what the logic I hear there? Okay. Like Boeing, we keep talking about this, but once again, Boeing with a non-positive headline. So the usual. I don't think that sounds like enough to just let's go short Boeing because we get news in the afternoon that's negative. I don't feel like that's the kind of news that's going to get you that. So, I'm not going to do anything with Boeing here, but that's not good. I think one of the underrated things about Boeing is their defense work in the aerospace. And I think it's kind of like a hidden gem for them. So when you have chinks in the armor there, that's not a good thing, obviously. But I don't see a trade. We got 16s, just caught a bid off 75. If 75 breaks, we'll look for the low of the day. I'm not thinking add to it just yet. But yeah, the short on Nike, still short the pops. And I think the better way to do it is don't just sit at the level. Like, let it get to the level, show weakness. There's your red candle. There's your confirmation, then short it. Like, see a turn and then go for it. That's a much better way to get into position here. And Nvidia's starting to give it up. I guarantee you there's no way this can happen and I don't get this breakdown in Intel. I feel like it should instantly work for like 10 to 15 cents with only a few pennies worth of risk here.
Yeah, that 75 is a little choppy there. Got a little involved just on top of that on that pop, but again, no real size there. I do want to give it kind of some more room to see if it can actually break through that 75. We talk about that aggressiveness of the bid. If that bid kind of shows right back again and pushes up, yeah, there it goes. The ES and the NQ tanking even further, pushing for fresh lows going into the last half hour of the day there. So yeah, the last 30-minute candle is starting to print as of right now, only 1 minute in, and we are getting some fresh lows happening on the market. I'm going to pass it over to Dara at the green screen.
Of course, with that sell-off we had midday, we have quite a few names heading to the downside here, but we're going to talk about some names making some larger moves on the S&P 500 with catalysts, including here Chubb, CB, this one falling quite clearly below support here on the daily chart, down about 3%, getting a underperform rating here from William Blair to downgrade. So CB, very much to the downside here. We actually have one positive name here. It's going to be Live Nation, LYV. This one up more than 3%. There's been these ongoing concerns about the Justice Department's antitrust trial. Now, apparently, this is not set to take place until 2026, according to some reports. So that giving Live Nation, LYV, a bit of a boost up here today. Last but not least, Delta Airlines. This one near lows here on the day with strong volume, getting a slight price target decrease here from Jefferies. This one's set to report in a couple weeks. So DAL absolutely on watch down to the day, guys.
Dell to the downside. We did look at that chart. It looks pretty interesting as well. I'm going to talk myself out of that one to the short side, and it was gold, right? Like, look at that. It's just the previous bottom, lower high, lower high. That's the setup. Look for good setups, take setups if they're there. I mentioned we're going to get that Intel breakdown. Obviously, the futures just lost 20,000 big time. This is what Nvidia looks like. If you have a chart of the Nasdaq, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But once we broke that 90, I got 89s and 88s on that break. It just popped to 85. I got bid in front of 80, 75, 70. We'll see what happens. Oddly enough, Nike's kind of trying to go back upside because logic. Yeah. Like, why wouldn't... What's annoying about this, like I show an Intel chart, then I come to Nike, and you got to zoom it in so you can even see any movement here. Like Nike takes 75 and then comes right back to the upside. So if it's not falling with the market, we might have to get away from Nike a bit here on that short. Like the market is absolutely tanking, and Nike is deciding it wants to finally catch a bit of a bid. Nvidia just lost that 23. That's a problem. Nvidia losing 23. Is it through the low yet? We're just breaking the low on Nvidia. 122.90 was the low of the day. And, I just heard Brankel say SMCI 800. Distract away, I just want a quick look. What is SMCI doing? SMCI below 800? Oh, 836. Okay, not there yet. But it is moving down. I heard on the bridge, you just said SMCI 800, and my thought was, no way, it's all the way down there. That would be insane. But Nvidia, it's trying to break that low, but no continuation. What I wanted to see was sellers underneath the bottom here at 122.90. There was none of it. So nothing there. Might catch a bit of a bid. I never want to get trapped in a reversal like that. I want to see the sellers and try to join them underneath that big level. But Nvidia catching a bid. Good thing we didn't try it.
Yeah, that Disney on that market flush coming in to fresh lows. We talk about that 20K comes in and then flushes lower about 100 points, almost 100 points in a single candle, in the single 15-minute candle, 19,900, and then bouncing right off of it there. So yeah, and not Nvidia, Disney getting a little bit of a sell-off there off of that 99 level that we were talking about earlier. Let's see if this selling can bring itself in to Disney and we get a little bit lower there. I got out of the Nike. I do kind of agree with Neil there. If the market is doing a little bit of a tank and Nike is holding and chopping around this 75, don't necessarily want to get too involved in there as well. But again, it comes right back into that 75. So what do I know? It is still technically holding this trend that's been going on all day. I'm looking at it on I guess a higher time frame. Still has not really significantly broken or closed above the 8 EMA on the 15-minute chart. So it's like, even though we've been getting these aggressive pops, no candles have really closed above that, I guess, trend indicator, the 8 exponential moving average there. So it seems like, again, maintaining trend. I do have to kind of keep in mind a higher time frames, and then the indicators that might be being followed on that. Look at that slam back down. So yeah, maybe not the best there, but it is what it is. Made that decision, and the NQ getting a little bit of a pop there as well. So
this time,
let's see.
I think trail to that. The last time it broke back above 75, it was violent.
Yes.
So if it does it again, I'm going to get out. So look for the low of the day. If it pops back above 75, maybe the buyers step in with gusto and we just get out of the trade. So I'm holding for the bottom here on Nike. That was definitely a turn. Man, Nvidia, this is the sort of thing. It's easy enough to say, oh, let's just take a break of that low, but there's a big difference between a stock breaking the bottom and sellers actually selling underneath. Everything that was underneath 122.90 there, that was just people hitting the bid. It was not people offering underneath the low of the day. So you see it break the bottom and the offer doesn't follow it down. There's not sellers underneath that are trying to dump their shares. It's just people getting stopped out at the low of the day. And then you get those nasty reversals. There goes Nike right back through the 75 level. So we'll jump out of that one. It was 16 to 75, but that's better than nothing. At least we got something on that short there. If you just take what you can get. I don't want to go long. Probably could. Ike Anderson saying, go Siri, go. Siri really can't be moving. There's no way Siri's moving today. I'd be surprised. And I keep putting in, it is up 3%, but the stock's not going anywhere. There's a reason this is like, the strategy that most people would deploy trading a stock like this is essentially just like market making. Like you try to, like 50 million shares, like your goal would be, if I favor the long, to go long 80 and 80 half and sell 82, sell 82 and a half. And just do it all day long as many times as you can once it establishes the upward trend. And then you just, as a prop trader, you just do it for more shares. Like do it for more shares, knowing that you're gonna get the heck out of Dodge if it breaks 80, but you're just trying to capture a cent or a cent and a half as many times as possible. Now we can use midpoints here, and I promise you this, if you're trying to get longs in here, you're not getting 80 long. You're getting long at 80 and a half. 100%. That is the long you're getting. You get 80 and a half long, and you're trying to sell like 82 and a half. And you probably could have done that like once or twice, maybe like once here, maybe once there. Maybe you'd short it as well. Do it for enough shares, make a few bills. That's what a day trader might do with Siri. Everything else is just a nothing burger on that stock, I think.
Yeah, I'm kind of just keeping my eyes on. We got a little wick on, I guess even a more aggressive wick both on the ES and the NQ, picking right back up into that 20 thou there on the NQ. And yeah, Nike drops down to 85s and then rips right back up to 75 10, 75 teens. So I'm just like, all right, well, whatever. Done with that one there. Again, with only about 20 minutes left until the close, and 10 minutes until those imbalances come out. I just want to stay patient. Just wait for those imbalances to see if they come through. And if the trade is there, we're going to take it. If it's not, we're not gonna take it anymore. What's going on, Pat? You ready for this?
They just did something cool with the
go.
Where is? Huh? What the heck?
Huh?
Oh, I'm looking around like, where the heck? Like, how are you getting that shot?
Yeah, I was confused as well, and I was like, that's probably a zoom because it was not as I guess. Yeah, the grain. I guess.
You getting all fancy?
Yeah, big brain moment there. No, the resolution was not as crisp, is what I'm trying to say.
Everybody needs to see exactly how bad my skin is and how much makeup I have to wear and how many gray hairs I have. That's the important thing. And how my hair is thinning, all that kind of stuff. That's what everybody needs, apparently. More of. Seriously, really? Now we're gonna do that? I mean, you know what? I asked for that. 100%. I asked for that. Yeah, 100%. I 100% asked for that. I would have done it to me if I had control too.
Fair enough.
But did you see the reversal that's happening in the market right now?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm watching it. I'm seeing it.
I was cruising. I thought like this is gonna fall. We're gonna get a 1% move down. Intel's gonna go red to green or green to red. 100%. We get the break at 89. It's starting to print at 85. We take our first profit at 1-to-1. Next thing I know, I'm getting out at 95. Like that just happened, and we're right back at 20,000 on the Nasdaq too. So if you pop back over, look at that flush. Went 100 points back and forth. Like imagine a scenario where if we break 20,000 to the upside, there's a lot of people that just got caught off guard here. I would not be looking to short back into 20,000 after a reversal like that. That just ripped some faces off. For people that didn't have any stops out there, you got to watch out. Let's just be honest about it. That's insane. Thank you for saying everyone with positive comments in there. I'm gonna let you know, I don't wear any makeup for the show either. It's all natural. That's a lie. Honestly, these blaring lights, if I didn't put anything on, I'd be blinding everybody, straight up. So they make me do it. But I'm not shorting anything back into 20,000. I think it's got to be not the market move. It has to be a stock-specific short that I want to take if you're going to look for it. So that leads me over to like maybe a Nike again. But going into that 20,000 level, that's way too big of a reversal. I don't mind Nike because of the downward trend, though. Maybe for one more shot here, Adara.
Keep an eye on DJT here. Donald Trump delivering some remarks apparently live in Virginia. This circulating a little bit around social media. So be aware. DJT on watch as Donald Trump is set to speak here, guys.
It's not really doing much. I expected to look over and see DJT up like $1. It's like, let's go. No. That's not doing anything over here. Still lower highs, still kind of trending to the downside. And the volume's the culprit as well. Like nothing happening when it comes to volume. That's all. I would love for this to break out a 33 level. I want to know, like 33, there's your 33, close to 33, then a 33 resistance. If it could break that out, then you'd have something. There's only 7 minutes till we get the imbalances. And I looked over at the early look. Just very quickly for everybody, this is what the early look looks like. So it's a month end, just to keep in mind. It is a month end, and it is a Russell mid-year rebalance. That means there's gonna be a lot of small cap names that have big imbalances, which is just gonna muddle things up and be very, like look, it's like RIG, MPLN, like NYCB, ChargePoint, Butterfly, like HIMS, 3.8. There's all these millions. Do you see a single big cap tech? Ooh, Dell. Dell's 2 million shares to the buy side. But you're not seeing any of the normal ones that we want to have the imbalances on. It's just a bunch of small cap names with massive, massive early look imbalances. That's what I'm expecting. A lot of names you're not used to seeing or you wouldn't normally trade are going to show up on this imbalance located with huge size at 350. You probably don't see like Nvidias and Apples of the world. My goodness, Nvidia. Holy crap. Speaking of Nvidia, yeah, that's one heck of a reversal. This is why you have to have a rule when you're trying to get into a bottom break. I was looking for a bottom break, but the sellers did not join down there. Sometimes you don't find yourself into the long, but you can definitely avoid a short that's going to ruin your day, because that would have ruined the day, trying to grab that short and not having a tight stop. Oh, please break out this top. It has to be 340. If this happens at 330, I'd be trying to fight. I'd trying to look for a continuation long, but a long at resistance at 350 is not really my cup of tea. So maybe one more shot at Nike at this 75 quarter level. And I'm just going to observe Nvidia. Maybe at 350 it gives me something. Nike. Oh, yeah.
No, I thought it was good. Okay, yeah. Nike coming right back up into that 75.20s there. So yeah, a little bit of a chop and churn market. That candle just went red to green again with only about a few minutes left with that Russell imbalance. Let's take a quick look at the IWM here as well, see what that's doing. Kind of a very similar action there. Popping back up, 15-minute candle goes a little bit red to green there going into the close. So should be a little interesting here, again, with only a few minutes left.
Yeah, not much left. I was showing everybody the imbalances. Like, it's going to be a lot of those small cap names, and there's some big numbers already. So it's going to muddle things, as I mentioned before. So Nike just came into 20s. I got 17 when it came into that 20 level. Trying to bid here in front of 10s, then in front of 75. I'm going to respect 75 as that even dollar level. So I just got filled down here in front of 10s. I got 11 filled, and I want 75. So Nike, just a little tight range. It's got about a 25-cent range in there. We'll see if we can grab it one more time. It is what it is. If it breaks out the top, we just got to jump out of it. I keep tracking back. If you see me look up, I'm looking up at Nvidia going into 350. Like, that is one heck of a reversal. Ideally, you just break out this top and you get into VWAP. Like, a break of this top is a quick 50-cent move into VWAP. You go 124.5 into 125 would be the play. So that's what I have eyeballs on going into this number. But look at that, Nike just picked up steam. So we were just back into the short. We got out in front of 10s, and then boom, volume breaking it back out. So I don't think I want to short anything anymore. We're able to get some scalp trades in there, but I think we got to start looking for a potential break for something here at 350. It'd be nice if it was really simple. Nvidia just comes out like 5 million to buy, and then you just take a breakout. But it's never that simple. Sometimes it is, but it's rarely that simple, I should say. Don't speak in certainties.
Yeah, no, we'll see what comes out, if anything does. Again, like I've been saying, if it comes out, then yeah, definitely queue up for it and position yourself well. Good luck to anybody who is taking this trade going into the close as well. I'm still kind of holding on to this Disney short with only about 3 minutes left for these imbalances to come out. Yeah, again, we can see that over the past couple of weeks, we've had some decent imbalances come out on the Mag 7 names. I think Google had one, Nvidia had a couple, Amazon had a couple as well.
Had a huge one.
Yeah, huge one. That was absolutely wild there. Yeah, it seems like some of these moves, they happen within microseconds. Definitely the algos taking advantage of the speed to that data there for sure. But again, definitely opportunities nonetheless. If the number is a little outlier, right? If it's a little bigger, the move definitely can have a lot more left going into the close as well to kind of pair those imbalanced shares, right? So we'll be watching out for some of those. We'll talk about if anything is a little out of the ordinary here on the DAC or the NYSE as well. So we can again, you guys will be, I guess, along for the ride for that one there. Nike coming right back in, so finally catching a little bit of a bid. Still a little short, got a little bit shorter on the Disney there going into the close here, but we'll see. We'll keep it tight. Not really too focused on that position. Only about 2 minutes left here, a minute and a half actually. Neil, what do you got going on?
Like, I just got out of Nike, and I don't think I'm jumping back in, not with only a minute to go. Keep in mind, I'm going to get up to the desk for the aftermarket show with myself and Darryl. We'll do a little bit of Q&A. We'll go over some trades today. I know what Darryl was trading, some Nvidia. We'll definitely talk some Nike. It's just a heck of a lot to look at. I mean, if you came in today, like the first thing when we sat down was like Nike short. Nike short. That's the only trade you actually needed today. Really, and I'm just being honest. With 1 minute to go, might as well just
the one good
give you an
trade.
idea. Like it was the first thing we both said when we sat down. Was we opened the show with that notion. The market opened up. The first thing you do is you start shorting it. You didn't really need to do anything else today, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you only trade, I think you only traded Nike in the morning, right?
Yeah, I
exactly.
only touched Nike. Yeah.
I'm actually like if you didn't trade anything else, that's all you really needed, and you could have stuck with that short pretty much up until now. You could argue that it's bouncing a little bit here, but really you could have just stuck with that the entirety of the day. The only mistake was here, like flipping and trying 3 longs on this stock. Why? So 20 seconds to go till the imbalances come out. Like I said, there's going to be a bunch of small cap names are going to have big imbalances. So you might lose on where like Nvidia and some of those are, but we'll give it to you as best we can. Expecting a lot of big numbers with the Russell imbalance coming in just a couple of minutes here, or a couple of seconds. So any second now, there we go. Some numbers coming in there. I don't see anything that I really, really love. You look up for the NYSE, MLPN, MPLN, who cares about that? You got Plug Power is a 10 million buy. AMC is a 10 million to the buy side. Peloton is 8 million to the buy side. See what I mean? It's a bunch of those stocks. So Plug, AMC, Peloton buys. Rivian's a 4 million to the buy side. I don't see any of our big cap friends in here, but it is a bunch of small caps. I'm just going to have a quick look at Peloton when I see that one. I just heard Microsoft's move. So Peloton, there's the move in Peloton. Rivian had an imbalance as well. Not much of a move there for Rivian, but a bunch of smaller cap names with those big imbalances. I see Nvidia is breaking out, but I haven't seen the number on that name. There it is. Nvidia is a sell. Okay, I'm not taking the breakout now. 3 million to sell on Nvidia, and Nvidia is going up. Hands off keyboard. That's not what I expected at all.
Yeah, no, nothing too crazy here. Yeah, there's a lot. I guess there's a Plug Power there, but nothing too crazy. Peloton, MVST, interesting. On the NY as well, nothing too crazy that I'm seeing here going into the close. So I don't have too much on watch. I guess Nike still holding above that 75 as well. I kind of want to see something real quick here I guess on the board. That Nvidia and that Microsoft as well. I'm just trying to pull that up right now on the other screen. If I can just pull that up. Yeah, okay, here we go. So yeah, Nvidia pushing up to the upside there, and Amazon kind of flushing in. Nothing too crazy that I have on watch here, Neil. You see anything?
Well, I mean, we talked about, it was like Peloton, AMC, ChargePoint had a big one as well. Just looking to see if anything's changed. Yeah, CHPT, but that was a lot earlier. There's Peloton, still 6 million to the buy side on Peloton. AMC seems to have paired off. So you got the initial push up, and a bunch of it just paired off there. But Peloton was one of the bigger ones. It's actually stayed, but not a huge move. You get like a 5-cent move. Someone just said check coin. I'm going to assume it was a buy and balance. The tricky thing when it's this big is to find something like Coinbase, I almost have to do this and just sort it alphabetically for you guys. I'm not in anything right now. And that Nvidia idea blows up when Nvidia goes up and it's a sell imbalance. So I'm not, if it was a buy and balance, I probably would have gone long on Nvidia, but it was not. There's coin, 400,000 to the buy side for coin. Keep in mind, it's all relative. Coinbase has only done 4.8 million shares. So 400,000 buy and balance would be pretty significant for it. It's almost 10% of the daily volume, and you can see the spike up there. So if you were watching Coinbase, good look. Obviously, a lot of other names that I thought could have been interesting, like Amazon, nothing. I mean, Amazon might have come out to sell. I didn't even see it. Amazon's now starting to dump. With all those small cap names out there, Amazon didn't even make the list.
Yeah, no, I'm seeing this bid kind of catch here on both I got out of the Disney trade, Nike pushing back up, and a lot of these other tickers not really doing too much. So I can, I guess I can show the imbal locator here on for the NQ and the NY as we're pushing up. Nothing too crazy here. You guys can see some of these top names. Yeah, nothing that is really standing out for me. A lot of small caps, as Neil mentioned before as well. So yeah, let us know if you guys are watching anything. If you're watching anything, let us know going into the close, and we will kind of, I guess, take a look at that, Neil. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll stick around a little bit longer than normal, I think, just to maybe observe that close. I'll get to the desk as fast as humanly possible, as fast as crutch possible there. But I just saw a bit of, wow, okay, Amazon there. Amazon is now continuing to absolutely flush. Nvidia turned around pretty heavily. I still didn't see the imbalance there on Amazon, but that is really starting to tank, and Apple as well. So it looked to me like those small cappers were going to be it, but really it's Amazon and Apple just getting shellacked. I didn't even see imbalance. I didn't see an imbalance on Apple. I don't know if you did. I'm just trying to check for it right now. Should be able to do that easily alphabetically, but I don't see anything. I didn't see anything there on Apple. Wow, huge move to the downside and a big flush. That's not the first time we've seen that. For Apple to the downside, a little easier to look for them. Yeah, it's now a 5 million sell. Like Apple wasn't there before, and now all of a sudden Apple's a 5 million sell imbalance. At 355, that's your pairing event. What happens here? It just paired off half of it, so now 2.7 million to the sell side, and 17 million paired volume on Apple. So it's already really chewed into a bunch of that here for AAPL. There might be like, no, I'd be forcing a trade. I got to get up to get to the desk before 4 o'clock hits, so it wouldn't make any sense to try and punch into something this low. Not when I'm planning to get up at the close there. But with only 4 minutes to go, when you see those imbalances, this is what can happen. Apple, Amazon getting absolutely smoked and now catching a bid. So Apple didn't pair, Amazon paired and catches a bid. Meta as well. Big bid to the downside, big push to the downside, not catching bid at 355, so they're running out of steam 100%. Nvidia, if you went with the grain on Nvidia, it was a sell imbalance, it went into resistance, you could have just sold it. So there you go, your opportunity was to be able to get into Nvidia to the short side. I was looking for a breakout. And sometimes you anticipate a bit too much. Like I wasn't very open-minded about it. Like Nvidia looked really strong, I wanted to take a break on a buy imbalance. If I was willing to just short it into the sell imbalance, it actually would have worked out. But you know, you got to do what you got. You got to do what you're gonna do. Like I had a plan of action. If it doesn't set up, I don't have to take it. So I don't lose on it. I just miss out on something else. AMC continues to go higher on its buy imbalance, despite pairing off most of it. AMC still pushing higher and higher. Glad we jumped away from Nike. It's not doing much, but considering the day that Nike has had, it's at 75.30. That's pretty good for Nike. It's one of the better upward moves that it's had. We're able to scalp some first off 75, but then much better off of 75.25. But now you're getting a bid there, even for Nike. Cassava Sciences caught a bid with only 3 minutes to go, everybody. If there's anything else you guys want me to look at, just let me know.
Yeah, Sava.
Sava really started flying. Like I had a couple of shorts in Cassava Science. We shorted this, started to go. Stopped out, shorted that, started to go. We get some wins, and then it just kind of get out, break even there, get out for a loss there. But this really caught a bid. I wouldn't touch this going into the close, because if liquidity caused halts multiple times, if this thing in the aftermarket probably has less than zero liquidity, and you might get trapped. So just be very careful. If you happen to be trading this, you look for that bottom, that 10 bottom. I mean, I can't tell you I was looking for longs on this, unless it was $8, but that 10 bottom was unreal looking at it in complete hindsight. NYCB also there, good look, Ike Anderson, that had a pretty big imbalance, and NYCB, another one of these names that's gonna run. All these small cap names, they're all going because they had millions of shares on the imbalance. NYCB is a $25 million volume on the day, so you're not gonna get a huge move on an imbalance that was only 7 or 8 million because it's just a little portion, but you still get a bump. That's a clean break. Like you take that When it breaks 21, you only need a couple of pennies. That's half the afternoon range, is literally 3 cents on NYCB.
Yeah, no, the markets are pulling back in off of that 20 thou mark there on the NQ. Quite aggressive. Yeah, quite aggressive there. And yeah, there goes a Disney back through that 99 level. Very, very aggressive to the upside. So yeah, it's a good thing. Got out of the short there. My stop was in and around that 99 anyway, so would have gotten taken out on that one there. So yeah, that 20 thou, we keep talking about that one, man. A little bit of a magnet, and it's been washing, wishing and washing around that, orbiting around that level as well. So yeah, definitely an interesting thing to look at going forward here. Now we only have about a minute left until the close. So I'm gonna reach over here, get my hand ready for the countdown timer here. Let's see how, okay, we're gonna go to Adara real quick.
Yeah, really quick catalyst here for CRM. Right as we head into the close, getting one of its largest volume spikes of the day. We do have Mark Benioff, CEO, announcing their new service called Einstein on Twitter here. Basically, seamless collaboration between digital and human workers for care resolution. That is CRM, guys.
Okay, so CRM getting some intraday news right before intraday and a day news as well. So only about 30 seconds here, so I got to get my finger ready here. So 99's coming back in, 75. So earnings day 2 is going to be interesting on Nike coming in next week as well here. So with only about 10 seconds left, let's start the countdown timer here. So hopefully you guys had a great trading day today with a lot of chop and churn, a lot of opportunities happening in the markets. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, all right. So, oh, thank you with the close up to end it off. Thank you. But yeah, no, it's been. Oh, okay, all right, nice. Thank you, Fabian. Fabian with the front and back. Nice. Okay, so. Yeah, no, lots of opportunity. We saw the reversion kind of happen off of the morning action there. Very strong push off of that, I guess, just above that 20 thou mark. A nice little fade off as well. Quite aggressive of a fade after a bit of a strong move in the first 30 minutes to an hour, right? So it's been quite a wild ride nonetheless. A lot of opportunity across the board. And yeah, they're saying camera 1, camera 2, Bears versus Bulls. Yes, sir. So yeah, Sava was a great intraday catalyst as well. I was talking to both Sean yesterday and Neil today about how intraday catalysts are literally, in my opinion, some of the best opportunities in the markets if you can be there fast enough. And sometimes, if you look at the chart, that strong move happens, and all of a sudden, situational change, putting both intraday and maybe some multi-time frame participants offside on that. So talking about the offside, Nike definitely was my number one, I guess, pick on the day for the trade, and we got a little lucky. We had the right idea to get short past or going into some of these multi-time frame level lows, printing all the way down to COVID dip prices in and around that area. But yeah, craziness. Let's see what earnings day 2 will have in store. I will see you guys next week, but don't go anywhere. We got the market recap with Neil and Adara at the big desk. Take it easy. Have a good weekend. See ya.
What up, everybody? Thank you, Obi, for closing it out there. You know it's a Friday, right? Like Adara's giving that story right at the end, and I gotta be honest. Like normally, like you could walk around, and I could have not gone right through the shot. Except it's impossible on crutches. Like there was just nowhere for me to shimmy on those crutches.
I didn't mind. I was just trying to get the story before the bell, so we're all in this together. It's all good.
It is what it is, man. I got them right here. Locked and loaded, ready to go. That story on Kava, you got to be kidding. Sava. Now, before we get into the recap, before we get into trade review, before we get into our Q&A and all that good stuff, what was that last story on Sava? Because what a rally off $10 that was.
Yeah, so that came like right at the end of the day here. This is just the company's statement, so take this how you will. Company releasing a statement basically recapping the main story here, which was that Huayang Wang was charged with allegedly defrauding the National Institutes of Health But basically, they're saying that Dr. Wang and his public university medical school had no involvement in the company's phase 3 clinical trials of similafam. So keep in mind, it's from the company, take that how you will, but apparently that the simufilam, that drug, apparently he was not involved in, is what the company is saying. Again, take that how you will, but that is the situation.
And clearly, I mean, I don't know, what time did that story come out?
That came out right at the end of the day here. I'm seeing it circulate online here as of 1 minute ago on Twitter. So it's pretty new.
Okay, so look, if I know some people might be looking at this thing in the aftermarket. Kava did make a pullback late in the day, so went $10 to 13.5 here on Kava. Sava. I keep saying Kava. I mean Sava. You guys know what's up. So Sava into that 13.50. So went 35% bottom to top in an afternoon move. It actually pulled it right back at the close, and then that news dropped, and it's not really doing much of anything. So do be a little bit careful. Personally, on a Friday going into a holiday shortened week, I don't know that I'd want to be trading anything in the aftermarket. There's no earnings to get to. And when we look at what actually was moving today, this was noted, hey, you know what? This is pretty cool because in the middle of the afternoon show, or at least in the middle of our rundown before we got into Power Hour, we had some viewers mentioning some things that were going. Like, we're trading mostly Nike and stocks that were in play and a little bit of Sava. But then it was like, don't you see the relative strength in KRE? Well, hey, if we're doing a sector recap, what up, KRE? The regional banks getting some love today, up 3% and leading things. I don't really know why on this board wheat is showing up like this when, okay, down 0.75%. KRE should have the big board win there. But KRE up 3%. The regional banks doing very well, trending all day long. And you know what? It did break that downward trend late in the day. So this could have been a nice momentum break. Lower lows, lower highs, broke the trend right at the end of the day. If you pull it up on the daily, when we're going over this, which you always should, there might be something brewing here for these regionals. And when you look at the trend, obviously you go back far enough, it's not going to look good because we all know what happened into 2023 and early 2023. But if you look at the bottom since all of that mess, you've got this May low here at 35, then you put a higher high, then you put a higher low, higher high. Now all of a sudden this higher low is a consolidation at 45 even. So it seems like if you look at the trend since we had that crisis in the regional banking sector, it's higher highs, and it would seem as if this higher low that's being put in could be a nice base. The problem, I would wager, is this: if you zoom it in, it's got a more short-term trend to the downside. So if you were drawing trend lines, I think, and you know what, I don't usually draw trend lines on trade ideas, but might as well complete the thought here. If you were drawing trend lines on KRE, like you might have something like that, and now you have like a flat bottom. Oh, I can't do it twice, I have to do that again. But yeah, you have a bit of a flat bottom. So you have you've got a higher low support level on a higher time frame, where if you break out the top of this trend, that's what I would look for. Like, can it get above like 52 here on KRE? So I love when the market is weak, what is strong? That's what you want to pay attention to. SMH didn't have that bad of a day, but I say this: it's up 0.7%, so an up day is an up day, but on a daily chart, like, this is as clear as day. You're in a pullback that's range bound. So when you're range bound, find places within a range to trade. And we talk about this all the time. If you can find the good price in the right direction, so a weak stock, if it's got resistance on it, short the pops, that kind of a thing. If it's a strong stock, buy the dips. That's what the overall SMH is doing. It's in a consolidated phase here.
Yeah.
So I think you got to be very careful. I think the KRE is the one to point out there in the sector watch. But I can't say SMH and talk about chips without asking you about Nvidia today. Because when we flipped over, Adara, to the midday show, I remember, because I had only been long Nvidia. And the long early at the open was good on Nvidia.
Yeah.
But that's about the only time it was good. And when we flipped over, I hadn't shorted the stock. I'm like, oh, shoot, you're short Nvidia. So walk us through what made you want to take aim at the biggest and baddest.
Yeah, so there were a couple things. The first one I did was, and Sharif can testify, he's not here, but he can testify. I was talking to the stock. I always go, before I go on the show, I go get coffee, get Sharif a water, and I don't place trades before I do that, but I like to look at my chart and see what's good, right? So I come here and I see this, we have this little VWAP situation. We're looking going to break below VWAP here. I believe it was at that 120. Let me see, I'm trying to find it around 12 p.m. because I don't have my charts up here. I think it was 126. And I basically say, I'm like, hey, Nvidia, if you stay like this, I will short you when I come back. We were below the 90 MA. We were rejecting off the 90 MA. And we were hovering around VWAP. So I said, I really like this look. I was going to risk it. I think I got involved just above 126. I was going to risk it into 126. 20s, and I had a planned addition. Everything went according to plan. I ended up, you guys know I never stay in trades too long, so I ended up taking out, I think I got like 60 pennies on some of it because I got some of it out at 125.40. That was a massive area of resistance for me and support, alternate, going back a few days. So I definitely did not want to be there beyond that level. I was open to seeing it break below. When I realized it wouldn't, then I cut my losses there, or not cut my losses, cut the trade there. There weren't losses. And then I got some of it out around 70. So it was a pretty good position. Pleased as punch with that trade. Then actually later in the day, a lot of the levels I've been looking at for Nvidia in the past kept hitting 124.25, 124.30. That was a huge one for Nvidia. I've been looking at that level all week. So I was really proud of myself for just being able to play those levels. Not every trade on Nvidia was profitable. There were some that I didn't feel great about. I had some AMD trades as well that went well. So yeah, it was a bit of a chippy day heading into the weekend.
Ooh, a chippy day. I like that. And look, first off, anytime you have a successful trade, it's a fantastic thing. But I'm looking at this. I wasn't in the short in Nvidia, so I can just go by proxy. When you had that short, so presuming you had the short here, the 126,
yep,
like somewhere in this range, and you see this, when you say 120, 125.40 won't break, this is what you mean. On a 3-minute chart, you got wicks underneath that won't carry past that 25. Now, if you stick with that same thing, you've observed where the resistance is, right place to get out. Clearly, it bounces higher, but look what happens when it breaks this support. So it finally breaks that area that was a problem before, and there's this one little condensed candle here at 125, and then it tries to break back above 125, fails at 125.15, which is the same bottom that was holding on your original short.
Yeah.
That is a continuation play because you've already identified the right level, and if you're looking for a short re-entry, well, you knew the level from before, and you can jump into this short, 25, with a stop maybe at the 40 level. It's a 40-cent worth risk there, and you have a move downside. Now, I wasn't looking at Nvidia shorts in that moment. I can tell you. So I'm just looking at the other end of it. I think it's absolutely fantastic short. Good look there for sure. I mean, you can't say enough about it. I'm out of morbid curiosity. I saw someone in the chat, I didn't catch the name, was saying, look at Rivian at the close. And I'm just not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by that on Rivian at the close. But I know Rivian did a nasty, nasty pullback and continues to do so. So I didn't see anything specific. There were a lot of small cap, mid cap type names that had massive imbalances and big moves at the end of the day. Rivian doesn't look like it did much of anything, but I think we should pay attention to this because it's really started to fill in that gap. You had the Volkswagen news, and then all it did is give it up. There were some decent bounce plays that you could have, but when I pop a 15-minute up, let's go to a little bit of a higher time frame here. When you pop that 15-minute up, it hasn't really found a definitive bottom. It's attempted to today. Like I would make an argument that you could say this is the bottom. Like if this holds 1330, 1340, if that holds on Monday, then I might like the longs again. But I think it's still in this, we're failing previous levels, and if it pops off that level, I don't know if 14 isn't still a short. If it fills the entire gap, it's still got room to $12. So you gotta watch out for all of these. And never forget, when you have major imbalances like the Russell, in this case rebalancing, and all those big moves at the close, chart those levels. You know, even though Amazon's not in the Russell, it had a big sell imbalance and it dumped. So Amazon dumped into the close and had this wick bottom into 192.5, 193. Well, you zoom it back out, okay, look at 193. So when I sit down on Monday, I'm not saying I'm just going to trade Amazon long off 193, but that is immediately my key level. If it loses it, I want to think short. If it holds it, I want to think long. When you get these big events at the close on huge volume, they provide you with liquidity levels, and liquidity levels are significant price levels to trade off of. So whatever you're looking at, if it moved like crazy, if it had big imbalances, just mark it off. You don't have to take the trade, but it is a great opportunity there. And you know, I'll tell you this much: Amazon, for me, when we do our picks in the week ahead that you do a great job of putting together, Amazon was my pick. the rejection it made at 200, like, wow, it was almost round trip because I like this one for a break if it's high. This was that previous high, that 190. Like, it was a pretty nice move in there, but it got to 200 and said, that's it. We're done. And it was a double top at the 200. In hindsight, that looks like an easy short, but only in hindsight. Because I sat all morning long with a 200 break order. Like, I sat there. I had an edge A stop break, 200. I think I crossed up to 231. So like 201 with a 231 stop. I'm like, we're gonna go long, and it never broke. So just sat there, no short, just looking for that long break. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, that Amazon was interesting. I was saying this morning, that's when I made that pun that we both kind of have been playing with that I made accidentally, which was Amazon's Prime for a 200 break. And then Neil was like, oh my gosh, Amazon Prime. So shout out to accidental puns. But basically, I thought it was going to be a long. But then when I realized that 198.50 level was kind of interesting, I had my eye on that. Ended up being a short. I didn't take that short, but once we had that little break below those 196 areas, into, I think it was 196.70, took that short into like 196. 30s, 40s, I want to say. So yeah, had one short on Amazon, did not take nearly enough size with it. I planned on adding, wasn't able to. But the point is, yeah, I think I'm a little bit more bearish anyway, which isn't always necessarily great. But when you have these moves in the market where it ends up falling, I think it does give you some opportunities. But I was also thinking we'd have that long 200. Like right in the earlier in the day, I said to Sharif, I said, wouldn't it be crazy if we get Amazon 200 break on the midday? So I was ready for the long, but when the short hit, I was like, oh, take it too. That's
the sort of, like, be mentally agile, right? Like, I think, like, I had other ideas that I liked to the short side, but I know I came into the day just thinking Amazon 200 break. I'm probably biased to the fact that I liked it for the week to the long side. But when we talk about bias, we're going to end trade review. We're going to get to the Q&A after this. I said it many times in the afternoon show, and Obi and I talked candidly about this. When we sat down this morning, I know, like, I made my morning note and I had like 4 ideas on there. Obviously, Nike short was one of them. Obi literally only liked the Nike short. You really didn't need anything else but Nike. It wasn't, there's no such thing as good or bad earnings. It's just they report the earnings and what happens to the stock happens to the stock. But what made Nike so unique in this situation was when I pull up this weekly chart, Nike, we sat down and Nike was already at 80 bucks. Like, you're underneath, this is a weekly, not a daily. You're underneath the only support left, which at 83, until the pandemic bottom. Like, that's it. It's just air. Pandemic bottom, already broken that 83 level, and all you had to do was look for the short. Yeah. At the open, it gave you an absolute gift at 9:30. I'll zoom in. Like, this is aftermarket. When you zoom in, it was a gift. It had tanked from 78 all the way to 77 right before the stock opened, then tried to catch a bid at 9:30. 77, right back into 78. It failed that high and just lower high after lower high after lower high after lower high. Thankfully, we shorted it in the morning, but you know I tried SSR bounces. I said it, trying to catch these. Oh, it's down 20%. Let's get an SSR bounce, and then just gave back. 3 times I went long. We shorted it in the afternoon. Obviously, this is a short that should have just been held all day long, and then look for those reloads. One of the things that I always strive to do better with, if you get a great trade long or short at the open and it goes, that's great. You can hold on to it all day, and that's a fantastic trade. But if it's just trending like that, if you're striving to get better, you're shorting those pops. If the stock is trending up all day long, it's not enough to just go long in the morning. If you're a day trader on a prop floor, you don't have any PDT or anything. If you have PDT, fine, buy it and hold it, or sell it and just hold it. But if you don't have that, you should be looking for other places to get in.
Oh, yeah.
There was at least half a dozen on Nike today that were clear-cut re-entry points, and you could have had them all. I know Obi and I caught a couple of them, but you need to get as many as you can. It's the same thing when Nvidia is screaming to the upside. You can get one long, but there might be 7 or 8 really good longs on that trade that you should try to take. I'm not talking about today. I'm just talking in a general sense. You always want to try to catch that trend. But I want to see you guys. You can ask us anything. I don't mind. You can ask me how upset I am about my MRI getting canceled. But we got a Q&A opportunity here. You want to ask Adair any questions, throw them in the chat. You want to ask me any questions, throw them in the chat. Or we can just riff on how frustrating it is that I have this silly cast on and it's annoying and it's uncomfortable, and I want to complain about stuff. I can't believe they canceled my MRI.
I was going to say, I'm sure you're mad, raging, and irate about the MRI cancellation. Not to pun about it, but I am like legitimately very sorry that it got canceled, especially last minute, especially when it was a booked appointment. Like, come on. Yeah, make those faces. Yeah, I'm really sorry that happened, though. Seriously, it's really frustrating. I literally came in, the second Neil comes in, I'm like, oh, how was your MRI? And he's like, I didn't have it. And I was...
And now if I have to have surgery, it's to determine whether I need surgery on my Achilles. And if now I have another scheduled appointment, but that just pushes it out another week or two because the recovery is the same.
Yeah.
It's still going to be 8 to 12 weeks if I have to have the surgery. You're just pushing that out. You can ruin my Rome trip. Medical system. So Harry Chung, it's not an ankle fracture or sprain. I have a torn Achilles. It's just a matter of how bad the tear is, whether or not they suggest surgery. I actually think I should get the surgery because I want to stay active. Sebastian actually just asked us, do we have pets? I can answer that I do not have any pets. And I grew up not having any pets. And I told this story before. The reason in my household why we didn't have pets is my parents both grew up in Antigua. They were both born in Antigua, which is an island in the West Indies. My father... the animals that they had, like they had a goat. They were very poor. They had a goat that relied on it for milk. At some point, things get bad. You know what has to happen. You're eating the goat. So my dad was the youngest of the boys. At 10 in the family, he was the youngest boy, and he took care of the goat. And so he got attached to it and all that kind of stuff. And when they eventually did have to butcher it for meat because the family needed to eat, like he just... it was hard for him. So he never really wanted pets and that kind of attachment. And I actually love other people's pets. And I'm of the thing, if my daughter wants it and my wife does, I'll just jump on board. But I've never been like that kind of a pet person that I just got to have one. I'd say yes if the two most important people in my life wanted one.
Yeah,
but yourself, do you have any?
So in Winnipeg, we have some, I don't have any here, but my family in Winnipeg, we have one dog named Laser, who I actually showed him on the show. He was on the news because he ran away from my cottage and showed up a block away from my house. So he's like a little sporting dude. And then we have 2 cats. One of them is named Kitterkins. That was my sister's idea. And the other one is Oliver. And those are the cats. And then we have the dog. And they're all in Winnipeg living their lives. Yeah.
Kitterkins?
Kitterkins. I don't really know what she was going for, but she was like, I'm going to get a cat, and the name of the cat will be Kitterkins. And no one was going to question that. So, yeah. That's the...
Oliver, yeah, actually, see, Fabian just said Oliver is the more weird name, and I would agree with that. Like, Oliver it's a very specific, where do you even get Oliver from for a cat?
Well, this is the best part. So basically, it is like a third-hand cat. So first it was like my grandpa's neighbor, and it was like a cat that hung out outside, and then my grandpa kind of casually stole the cat, and then now we have the cat. So we did not name Oliver. Oliver was named by people I don't even know if we've met.
How do you casually steal a cat?
Well, he was just like, oh, we're gonna take care of the cat now. And I guess the neighbor was like, cool. And then yeah, my grandpa had the cat, but then wouldn't let the cat inside the house. And then now my family is the cat, and the cat is inside the house. Good times.
Hey, I mean, apparently you can casually steal a cat.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm not trying to casually steal anything. That probably wouldn't go well for me. Neo Roberts just said formal names for pets are the best. I'll keep that in mind if my daughter convinces us to get a dog or cat. Ike Anderson, Under Armour, UAA, Under Armour, yes, Nike, no. In a general sense, without even looking at Under Armour, I probably agree, given what happened to Nike. I just feel like stocks that do that are a sell till they're not. So yeah, I can't disagree with that. Under Armour is holding the exact same bottom where it's been bouncing off of for $6, risk to reward down. It's not a very good stock. Either, but it's holding a bottom, and one is breaking a fresh bottom, the other one's holding a bottom. I don't love Under Armour either, but in a small sense, I can't disagree with that at all. And so in terms of usage, I know playing baseball when I was in my men's league, everybody was using Under Armour gear. They actually made some real headwinds into batting gloves and all that kind of stuff.
Well,
I don't know.
cool.
I don't know if it's still working for them. Henry Chung, which exchange is your go-to when scalping? Lately, EdgeX. And so, when that question for Henry is asking about where do you take fills, right? So when you're scalping a stock, and let's just pull up AMC. I don't know why I said AMC. I could have just kept it. Whatever. I can literally just keep it on Under Armour. It's a cheap stock. Oh, what did I do? I don't want to call that up. I can just keep it on Under Armour. Go to a 3-minute. When you have a small range like this. on a stock where you might be scalping like 660 to 667, 5 or 6 pennies. You want to get paid. You want to add on. You want to add to get a rebate. You know, get that $2 per 1,000 share. EdgeX gives a good rebate, and lately it fills really well. So I always look to see like what is that gateway where you can add liquidity and get a rebate that seems to be printing well in the overall market. Sometimes it's ARCA, sometimes it's stock specific, but I've just found even in the pre-market EdgeX has been pretty good. So if you're trading with Real Trading, you have access to all the gateways out there. Personally, that's been a good one for me recently. When it comes to removing liquidity, I have a few keys I use. I use like an Edge A route key. I use a Nasdaq scan key. But just that's to remove liquidity. There's one called Frex, which everyone loves here. And then there's also like adding liquidity. I always find you just go with what happens to be printing. Sometimes that can change intraday. That's why you watch that tape. And the way you got to think about it is if you make like 100 trades on a stock, you're scalping all day long, it adds up. Like that extra $1 per 1,000, if you do it over and over and over again over the course of a day, over the course of weeks and months, it does make a difference on your P&L, but I hope that answers your question. I do not use. A follow-up question was, do I hide sell orders? I don't use icebergs. I've used icebergs in the past. When I started as a penny stock trader, I'd use icebergs all the time. Now I don't really trade anything that would require using an iceberg. You use iceberg orders when the amount of size you're taking relative to the amount that the stock trades, you want to hide it. And I would trade penny stocks back in the day that might do a couple of million shares on the entire day. And I'm trading tens of thousands, so I don't necessarily want to show all that size. Now you're trading Apple, whatever. No one's trading enough size that you need to hide an order on Apple. Let's be real for a second. So, you know, it's very, very specific when you use those iceberg orders. What else do we have here? Mr. Westermeyer, the answer is no to that one. Elon, VRT. Huge volume end of day with a 4-hour green hammer and double bottom since the 7th. Looking for reversal next week. It's more of a comment than anything else. So I'll have a look at that at some point. But Mulligan just said, good or bad idea to buy the dip on Nike? I think I kind of answered that. What are your thoughts on buying the dip on Nike? Because I've already said, wait for it to make a bottom.
Okay, I want to see. I'm going to look at this daily chart and give you guys some little analysis here. Also, it's worth noting this is Nike's worst one-day performance since his IPO in 1980. So cool, 44-year record low for, not like record low, but like this performance, like literally this is his worst performance since the, oh God, this daily chart makes me sad. I'm really sorry, I cannot recommend buying the dip here. Not recommend, we don't give advice, but like this is just a gross look for me. Let's look at the weekly chart. This chart's making me pretty upset here. We're gonna go to the 5-day view on N to the K to the E.
You still in?
Oh no, the weekly's even worse.
Don't pull up the weekly. Oh, don't ruin everybody's week.
This is pretty bad. We had a bit of a flat bottom here in 90 with lower lows. I'm really sorry. I would not say buy the dip. It would be interesting if we get back to this 83 level. Sharif was talking about that yesterday on the market recap. That 83 was kind of support. But like that would, and then I would say maybe see what you do at 90s, because 90s, you know, you could see support to resistance flip. Right now, though, we have made a lower low on an already pretty yucky chart. I would say take a moment and wait, maybe.
Yeah, I can't agree with that more. I just like let it make some kind of a bottom before you jump in on there. Thank you for the kind words there, RJ McFly. We appreciate you. Bears versus Bulls, what up? Donnie Zimbabwe, appreciate this. I like this. I'm going to call your mentor who started you off at Morgan Stanley years ago. What's going on with Morgan Stanley stock? Someone tell me. I own some. I watch every day. You remind me so much of his character and personality. He's got to subscribe. I'd love to hear him in the chat. Yeah, why not? Like, I mean, we have such a very diverse viewership. Like, I've met people that have no idea what they're just starting in the markets. They don't have any experience, and then other ones have been in it for years, have traded on at banks and prop desks. And they still, some people get something out of it one way, and others get a little bit more of, I just want to see what's active in the market and going on. That's the more experienced side, whereas most of the stuff we're talking about, they already know because they're very experienced. So let us know, Donnie Zimbabwe. You know, get him on here. I'd love to talk to him. Kurt Hoffman at Tesla ? And then we got another question about Enphase. So just general comments on Tesla. I know Tesla had that pullback and ends up the day flat today, but part of that just has to do with you got from step 1 to step 2. You went point A to point B here. That's what you wanted to see. The hold of the 50 period, the move to 200, that's what you wanted. It just failed the $200 level. It's a wait and see moment. It got up to the 200 period moving average and that 200 level. It could be in time for a pullback on Tesla. It would make a lot of sense. If it puts in a higher low, I think the trend's right to the 200 period again. So you just got to be patient. It already gave us what we wanted off that consolidation. No need to just assume it's going to break out the 200 one time and everything is going to be easy.
Yeah.
And then the next question was on end phase. And it was just end phase with a question mark. So I'm not really sure if there was anything specific there.
And phase looks pretty phased, I have to say. It looks pretty phased by everything going on in this market. It looks like it's phasing out to the downside.
Flat bottom break.
Yeah.
Yeah, this doesn't look that great.
Yucky.
Sometimes the stock is at a support level and you don't want it. And this would be that situation. The reason I don't like it off that support is you had the convergence of the 50 and 200 period, and it just, like, it held this level and then broke it out there, holding both moving averages, and then couldn't break the top. So failed right at that top. That's not good. It's back underneath the 50 and the 200. That's not what I like to see. If it's at that same support level and we're at the 52, I'd probably like a long in there. But technically, that's not, there's got to be a bunch of other things I want to buy on dips that are at support that would probably look better than this from a technical standpoint. And again, I'm not really too much versed on the space, to be honest with you. Just looking at the technicals there for in phase. You have a good weekend as well, Sebastian. Is it really already 4:30? How is it possible?
Also, thank you so much, Bears vs. Bulls, for the members chat. Just want to say thank you, Neil and Adara, for all you do. I'm so lucky to be here with you all. Thank you. Thank you, Bears vs. Bulls, for everything you do. Sorry for the aggressive finger pointing. We're so happy to be here. I like what you said as well about people coming from different places in the market. I was totally new to the markets when I came here, and I mean, I love it. It's such a fun place, and I love this community because there's so many people coming from different perspectives. So thanks to everyone being here. Mulligan joining as a member as well. This is just, yeah, this is always a pleasure.
So before we do the roll call, I just want, what? We didn't do the roll. That wasn't the roll call. We're taking questions, man. That wasn't the roll call. We're doing the roll call, okay? No, hold on a second. Mulligan, Sean is on the pod. They taped the pod knowing Sean was going to be off. So 100%. Make sure you, I don't know if you're going to pop it up there in a second there. You wait till I'm talking about it. You definitely want to check out the Freedom Wealth podcast. They already taped it. It's going to be an absolute banger. Check out episode 5. Drops tomorrow morning, just like usual. Make sure, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. Check out some of the short videos they have going on. A lot of work gets put into it. It's a fantastic one. I'll be listening myself probably on Sunday when I don't get to go to the Jays game because my family's going without me because I can't really walk up and down the aisle. That sucks. But before we get to roll call, I want to echo the thanks to Bears versus Bulls. But I'm going to put Adara on the spot for a second.
Oh.
Now, if you guys, you don't get the opportunity to see us in the morning, when it's usually like Adara gets in first, and I'll be in a couple minutes later, and then Sharif comes in like 10, 15 minutes after that. And a lot of times, like Adara will be making the watch list and doing work at the desk, and if she gets something in her head, she'll be singing, she'll be rapping, and we just get to hear it. So I know full well you can rip off the roll call like nobody's business.
Yeah, I can.
So I'm just going to sit back, and I want you to do the roll call because I know you got the chart up, the chat.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're getting started now. Alex Diaz, thank you. You have a great weekend as well. Pitch Bull, thank you. You are awesome. Finch Jane, Leonel Martinez, Dave Clark, Donnie Zimbabwe, Zacrates, Bears versus Bulls here in the chat as well. Mulligan, Adrian, we're just waiting for some more people here. I'm going to go back upwards until we get more names. Wiz, 1973. Strobe 9. We have Marion Buford, Mike Breeze, Shaurus. Two Braids, I'm not a vegetarian, but I don't eat a lot of meat either. Neil Roberts, Henry Chung, Jose A. Nunez, Sweet A.L. Noah, Michael P. Leonel Martinez again, Donnie Zimbabwe, Kelly Cat, Alex Davis, D. Westermeyers, S. Samuels, Peanut, Brian Thomas, Miriam Buford again, on to blockchains, John Del Senio, Charuz again, French Toast 1999, live trading by Trader TV Live /Fabian, NYC Urbanista, Take Profit, Tom, Monty G, French Toast, Sariski, Andrew Chow, Be Free, Joshua Lee Mallory, Cali Cat again, Kurt Hoffman, D Love. We've got Aaron Scott Matthews, Pineapple Endies, Jamon Sims, Chris Schrum, Bright Awakening, Heinrich, Strobe 9 again, Elon, Manuel Palma. What a day.
If I had a button that was like, wah, 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 wow. So obviously I'm never going to get to do the roll call again because it's over It's over. Adara just absolutely crushed it. Thank you, everybody. It was a fun day, fun week, fun afternoon show. For everybody that's in Canada, I'm going to wish you in advance a happy Canada Day. But it's a holiday here in Canada, but we're back Monday morning. Don't worry about it. The U.S. market's open. We're right back here at 8:30 for all of you. It's Trader TV Live. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, check out the Freedom Wealth podcast. Listen to it. Get ready for next week. Be locked and loaded. We'll catch you at 8:30 Monday morning. Bye.
See ya.